Hey guys, it's Sienna May Gomez, and I'm gonna be telling you what goes on behind my most viral TikToks.
And Jack White allegation. This situation is absolutely insane, with accusations flying from both sides.
I wanted to share what I went through.
All I can say is that I was in love with him.
These are the facts, and I'm a witness.
And why is all of your evidence posted and quickly deleted? His friends are painting him as the victim, and he is the victim, but not of me.
Ooh, a bombshell. Damn, the editing here is super intense. I feel like I'm about to watch an episode of Euphoria.
I'm young, and obviously I will not always get it right the first time.
Who doesn't love a good YouTube apology?
I love YouTube apologies.
I'm so sorry for anyone that's been hurt.
Continuous lapse in my judgment.
It's hard to overlook the irony of David Dobrik turning off comments on a video titled Let's Talk. While some apologies may lead to an accidental admission of guilt, others don't even contain the word sorry at all. Some are scripted, while others are very much not.
You're high. You're snorting a line of off a bad my. You know what I mean?
I never saw his apology video. I didn't know he had one.
Online, you get used to a pretty wide range of public statements, varying from sincere and tactful to, oh my god, what are the words coming out of your mouth right now?
Actually, that just reminded me. Jenna Marbles,
hey guys,
she made an apology video and then quit YouTube, or said she was. Did she actually do that? It's been like 2 years now. I guess so. Damn, she said, alright, I'm out then. Issues new apology to staff as producers are fired. Oh, yeah, she also just quit her show, right? So that's pretty fucking awesome, I guess.
I stay grateful and I try to stay humble, and I think that I pay attention to what is important and what is real.
In recent months, her character has been called into question.
Yeah, none of us like Ellen, I get it. Where's her apology?
I'll say nothing to them, really. Reasons. We'll focus on level producer.
Ninja made you, Ellen. Don't forget it.
I gotta keep moving forward and learning and growing. You know, some people don't teach you about how to live this lifestyle or how to be here in this position, but I'm learning and I'm growing.
It doesn't exactly take a PhD in psychological studies to gauge who's actually sorry and who's only sorry they got caught. Accused of a literal crime probably won't have the best of luck defending themselves holding a tangible, actual script in front of them.
To be fair, it's less of a script and more of like a summer reading essay.
Not even the worst interpretive dance I've ever seen. As a response to one of the biggest TikTok controversies in recent
This is how you do apologies.
Join me in documenting the timeline of disastrous PR choices of one of TikTok's once most promising entertainers. In just under 8 months, Sienna built one of the largest
background music
on
is
TikTok,
slapping.
signed with a Hollywood talent agency, secured brand deals with a myriad of major companies, and was even set to star in a Netflix documentary focused on her friend group, until a flood
and you wonder why Netflix is doing
shitty,
huh?
Fellow TikTok. It was just going so fast. From the span of August to maybe October, December, I was gaining 1 million followers every week to 2 weeks, landing a place alongside Charlie D'Amelio. After getting along so well and becoming more close, the two began appearing side by side more frequently on TikTok. And as you can imagine, it didn't take long for young fans of the two to speculate on the true nature of their relationship.
3 things I love about Josh: his smile, his optimism, and his way of being kind to me, no matter if I mean to him or not.
How was your first kiss?
How sweet.
Our first kiss? We haven't had it yet.
You haven't had it yet?
You haven't had first kiss yet? No.
The vlog says something else.
What weird questions to ask. Jesus Christ.
Come on.
Ugh.
Not unlike YouTube and Twitch,
oh my God.
TikTok.
How is the paparazzi like a real profession that still exists in the current century? Jesus Christ. That shit is so weird. So genuinely weird. And it's so outdated now too, considering like all of these social media people and celebrities posted like all of their shit themselves. Like their most embarrassing moments are moments that they are capturing and posting themselves. So the paparazzi are getting paid for actual nothingness. Just to take pictures of them holding coffee cups.
Are you guys dating?
They would very openly show PDA, but never outright clarified whether they were dating afterwards. So with this PR win, I have to assume Sienna must have felt a new air of confidence. After all, it was around this time that Netflix was filming for a Hype House documentary.
Yeah.
Chaos surrounding the
hold on, I'm curious. How many TikToker shows does Netflix have? Let me see. I'm curious. Let's see. They have to have like 5 or 6, right? So the Hype House documentary. They have the Hype House competition show on Netflix. Or I guess it's not the Hype House per se, but something like it. Okay, can someone just tell me? I don't even know what I'd search for. There's only like 2? No, that can't be right. They had the Addison Rae one, they had this Hype House one, they had that competition one where a bunch of TikTokers got into a house to fight for like Big Brother style. They had, oh, they had another documentary on somebody, I'm blanking on their name. I think they've been doing like a big investment in TikToker-focused media for the built-in audience. The D'Amelio family's on Hulu. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe it's all over the place.
On the 31st, Mason Rizzo, a friend of Jack's since kindergarten, published the following statement to Twitter, reading, "I struggle with seeing a girl praised after telling my best friend to kill himself and assaulting him numerous times after he set boundaries and then repeatedly wonder why he doesn't like you back. She also has a history of verbally abusing people.
She's young. Come on.
She prioritizes the growth of her platform rather than the positive message she represents herself as.
Whatever evidence you think you have, either post it or send it to me and I'll post it because you have nothing."
That's so bold. That's so fucking bold.
On June 3rd of 2021, this short video taken in November was posted by another friend of Jack's, seemingly depicting Sienna straddling an unconscious Jack Wright, groping him and kissing him on the lips while looking passed out. The guy next to him who posted the video got up after feeling uncomfortable, but went back to pull Sienna off once he realized what was happening, posting this alongside the clip in an effort to further support the claim that Jack was in fact asleep, or at the very least incapable of consent during that time. Being definitive proof of assault in the eyes of some, this video remains a heavy point of contention today. Sienna has since made the claim many times over that he was not unconscious and completely consenting as it happened.
It does seem like he was.
Another statement not long
after.
That's
usually what I look like
Jack
when I'm
himself
consenting.
Would go on to dispute.
The Hawaii incident happened where, honestly, I'm glad that they have evidence.
After
Sienna found out about the video, she said sorry. She said if this got out, she would be done. That is horrible, and she's working
on the Bill Cosby classic.
Jack was a victim of sexual assault, but not by me. And I am a victim of continual.
I bet if they had an earlier video, there was
and
pudding.
Slander my name with false claims. It will not work. I'm here to clear things up and provide all sides of the story because I have been labeled as a sexual assaulter.
Right out of the gate, Sienna's demeanor is stronger and more aggressive than before. She comes off less concerned for her friend who she just previously said was sexually abused, and more frustrated with how the situation has affected her.
Any video you go watch of us, please, and I encourage you to go watch my recent YouTube videos featuring Jack, our recent TikTok.
This is so uncomfortable,
you will
holy
see
shit.
That this behavior
Jesus Christ.
was normal. Online, we touched each other, kissed each other, we were playful. Jack kissed me and I kissed him. Within the boundaries of our relationship, this was normal.
Definitely not doing much to sway people in her favor. But let's look.
I would usually go over when he's unconscious and yank on his winky.
So I went back and took
it was part of our friendship.
Not to mention when I got closer, I noticed her right hand inappropriately touching his crotch. She was shocked that
I would play with his nutsack when he was having nightmares in order to ease his mind.
Next day about the situation that happened at night.
And then I'd spit on his face.
That happens all the time.
And also, why was he kissing me back?
She asserts that he was fully awake and kissing her back, pointing to the way Jack's arm moves when his friend gets up from the couch. Now, maybe Sienna isn't sure how gravity works, but I think it's pretty clear to me, at least, which I have to say so I don't get sued, that his arm only moved because the guy stood up.
No, it's like Weekend at Bernie's. He doesn't
fine.
He's fucking fine.
There's not a whole lot to go on.
He's consenting.
Sienna is eager to point out for herself.
You claim in your video that you hear.
He said yes, so she could finger his butthole.
Why did you record it? James, you are Jack's twin brother, and I know that if my brother saw me being taken advantage of, he would pick up the person on top of me and beat them. not
classic
film it.
awful
But
defense.
I mean, that would be a horrible look. They're trying to incriminate you, not themselves. To me, Jack's twin James took this video for his brother's own good. She then goes on to rapid fire a bunch of points that, again, really don't matter as far as what she's being accused of.
This was also in November, when we had first just started to kind of ease our way into relationship, not relationship, defined, and you were introducing me as your girl. Having your friends take a 10-second clip out of context of this entire night is not sexual assault.
She's confused why it's even an issue at all, since James and Jack had never brought it up to her privately. This would not age the finest either. In the wake of Jack's formal
She's better than Amber Heard's lawyer, though.
YouTube channel about half a year later. Sienna issued cease and desist letters regardless, and went on to take a month-long break from social media. The situation died down once again, at least before Sienna made her long-awaited and critically acclaimed.
She comes back and posts this absolutely
Let's fucking go.
Video. An interpretive dance video for essay.
It's so good. This is how you should apologize.
Take a whole month off social media, but now I'm back. Hit him with the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse dance.
Hey!
What is this?
Let's go.
How deaf and stupid do you have to be?
But through struggle, I found clarity within myself.
God, apology videos are always amazing, but this one I still think is one of the best.
I don't have anything to add. This is literally the worst response to any controversy I have ever seen.
So good.
Somehow, Sienna May's PR team figured that shooting a highly stylized interpretive dance to a song which contains the lyrics, "I did nothing wrong, I'm young," would be an appropriate response to SA allegations. God,
and it was.
I'd love to be a fly on a wall during that meeting. It's like getting up in the middle of your trial and doing the Squidward dance. I mean, if you go to Google Tone Deaf right now, a link to her video pops up. For God's sake, she starts off with a close-up shot of her push to start.
Even if I can only inspire one person, I will have done what I was put on this earth to do.
It's
very Sia-esque.
Before launching into the worst dance moves a human being is capable of. Needless to say, this video convinced everyone she was...
Didn't Amber Turd just fire her whole PR team? Maybe there's a chance we see in trial her break out the interpretive dance like as a last-ditch Hail Mary. I don't want this to be the last one. It can't die here. I really think there's a lot of potential with the apology interpretive dances. So, fingers crossed. I really think we got a good chance there.
The Hawaii incident happened.
Jack can confirm that he was in fact passed out, unconscious, almost the whole
I can't believe
and
that. That looks like a fully conscious man to me.
Most vulnerable state. Two friends escorted her out of the party since she had also been causing additional problems that night, but resorted to jumping and rolling out of a moving vehicle to get back.
Oh, I forgot about that
He was
part.
hiding from Sienna in the house. According to him, her parents had to
That was like full-blown like Jason Statham stunts.
And I don't know, it was just like normal for me that I didn't think there was such like a problem at all. Like part of me wants to blame myself for being nice and sticking around after so many times, but now I realize that I was stuck in this like manipulative cycle of her acting like she extremely cared about me.
Yeah, she's like a fucking supervillain of
she would do stuff to
wanting
me, and it was
fuck
just
Jack.
so normal for me. I got used to it.
Painting a horrific picture of waking up in the middle of the night.
How does all this happen before you raise a red flag, though? You've clearly not been around a ton of people. People you think are a friend, you'll ignore a ton of flags for. Happens all the time, even if it's not romantic. I am holding in a pee-pee really badly, though, so I'm gonna go tinkle real quick, and I'll be right back.
On February 23rd, 2022, Sienna May returned to the public eye with an appearance on the BFFs podcast hosted by Dave Portnoy, the CEO of Barstool Sports, who you may remember as a proud investor of the infamous crypto coin SafeMoon, which turned out to be a worthless pyramid scheme.
Hey, SafeMooners!
To fire and sue his employees on the spot for wanting to unionize. Or you may know his abundant legal history. Whatever the case may be, Dave Portnoy, alongside his co-hosts who are half his age, brought Sienna back on the program after having her on just a year
sounds about
prior.
Right. I actually saw Dave Portnoy in real world once when we went to that god-awful fucking Logan Paul Floyd Mayweather fight. Dave Portnoy was there, and he was leaving the stadium, and one person asked for a picture with him, so he turned around and asked if anyone else wanted a picture with him, and nobody said anything. That's the only experience I've had with Dave Portnoy. It was fucking awesome. Yeah, I like his pizza reviews, though. I don't know too much about the guy, but that situation was pretty awesome. Shit was great.
I want to talk about my emotional state, and like I feel like what I want to touch on is like how I'm doing and like the emotional questions that I know you guys are gonna ask. But as for like the legal and like the so what's going on questions, that's for them to answer, because like I don't want to. I'm trying to. I don't want to butcher anything. This is all like now it's serious, you know, like. Social media.
What a blunder.
Okay, yeah. So
why would you go to an interview on something like this and bring lawyers? That just makes it look significantly worse. Hey, Charlie, you did something bad. Do you want to talk about it? Yeah. And I'm bringing an entire legal team, too. Okay.
You guys and whoever's going to see this now, that there's nothing being done. Like, I just
why does that
kind of like,
what?
All right, I'm gonna let my team like just talk about this one and kind of like.
She is the worst PR team of all
time.
time.
That told you to do the interpretive dance.
Holy shit!
I'm thinking you should probably be worried. When the two had never even gotten to the point of dating, he made it clear he did not want to be with her, and she still persisted, according to what's been claimed.
I like really loved him, and I was like, I'm gonna get married to this guy. Like, this is the one. Like, I was so stoked on him. Man,
that is such weird behavior. Bro, if this was a guy saying this. It would be much differently received. This is like actual incel shit. They were never even dating or anything. At all. Talking about like marriage and shit. This is the one. He's a prime. Gizmo, Thebe, and Tmartn. Yeah, that is like real stalkerish behavior right there.
Sienna likes to emphasize that the two had never had sex, as if this was ever something Jack claimed, and I'm surprised Sienna keeps harping on it, even with her lawyer sitting right next to her. She absolutely cannot, for some reason, answer Dave's question of, well, did you know he wasn't
into it, and you're still pursuing it?
Instead, all of her answers are keeping the best interests of Sienna in mind, and how
Wait, does she have two lawyers here?
Her answers are
Wait, is this one of the normal hosts on Portnoy's show? This doesn't seem like the company Dave Portnoy would keep. She brought two lawyers? What the fuck? Hey, can I get Saul Goodman over here and then, I don't know, someone else, please? I really need to make an impression.
Are keeping the best interests of Sienna.
Oh my god, you're right. Wait, they are in the same room, all of them.
And you're still pursuing it?
Instead, all of her answers are...
Yeah, you're right. It's the same plans. I knew she was here because she reached out and patted her on the shoulder or whatever, slapped her in the face, God only knows. But yeah, I didn't realize this guy's in the same place too, unless he has just been like deep-faked in here.
The National Center for Audio and Video Forensics was retained to perform an analysis on a cell phone video posted to social media. I was asked if the video could be used as credible evidence of the accusations against Ms. Gomez. In short, no. The posted video is not credible evidence of these accusations. The video is not original. The video has been heavily altered. The video
based on what?
No context to the events.
Wait, how did...
The video is not credible.
Well, I think we need to clarify in these first two statements. This would be huge if you can prove the video has been heavily altered. You're telling me someone actually did CGI this shit in here? You're gonna need to, like, clarify here. That would blow this whole thing wide open. The video doesn't exist. Yeah. Point 5. The video is not real. In fact, nothing's real. What is solipsism?
Of the accusations against Ms. Gomez.
I feel like that was a bad CSI video. I mean, my instinct is people are going to be like, that's a guilty video. It felt like a bad movie.
Actually very funny. They shred this video in front of the guy who made it. But I have to say it's hard to deny the video is short and doesn't show the events leading up to and after what is taking place. She repeatedly chose to take advantage of Jack Wright when he was at his most vulnerable, keeping him at arm's length no matter where they went due to her bizarre, ignorant, and selfish infatuation with a boy who clearly didn't reciprocate feelings. I personally believe the latter. After everything Jack has said and personally testified against, it's hard for me to look at this video as anything other than the truth, even if saying that could get me crucified by Sienna's legal team. However,
I don't know, man. Her legal team doesn't seem that adept. This guy actually put together a fucking CSGO montage to prove why the video is bad without any evidence. He just said 4 points. It's not original, it's heavily altered. Like, with nothing else there, it's kind of worthless.
It doesn't matter how young and inexperienced Sienna was when she goes to such extreme lengths to keep Jack and her critics at bay, as to not damage the precious reputation she's built on a mountain of lies and sick dance moves.
God, their dance apology is so fucking good. I love it. I wish more people would do that. That was interesting. The person who edited that dance was my hero. Oh, you talking about like the Banjo-Kazooie sound effects? Yeah, that was pretty cool. Do you think clout prolongs relationship? Oh, do you think clout prolonged their relationship? I mean, yeah, it was a business. They're both profiting off pretending to be together or whatever. So of course. You all know how much I love awful YouTuber apology videos, but today I've got something truly special to show you. This is the magnum opus of saying I'm sorry. It doesn't come from a YouTuber either. This comes from a basketball player, and he completely redefined the apology video meta. He made an entire apology documentary. I'm talking about Draymond Green. Now, I don't know how many of you are some red-blooded American, brewski-boofing, patriotic sports fans, but I'm going to break down the situation for those of you that aren't and don't know what I'm referring to. Draymond Green is a professional basketball player, plays for the Warriors, and recently he was filmed in practice punching his teammate after an argument. I can't show the video because YouTube will probably age restrict it for shocking and disturbing content, which it's not, so I'll just paint the picture with words here. So Draymond Green and Jordan Poole are at practice, and then some words get exchanged between the two. I can't read their lips, and the quality looks like it's straight out of 2001 off of a goddamn Motorola Razr, so the quality's fucking abysmal. Don't know what they said to each other, but they were some not nice words being exchanged. Perhaps Jordan Poole hit him with a SpongeBob reference that he didn't appreciate, something like, "Hey pal, you just blow in from Stupid Town." Then Draymond Green gets up in his face. Jordan Poole pushes him off, and in response to that, Draymond Green fucking cranks a mean one and lets a Go-Go Gadget Extendo knuckle sandwich fly, absolutely blasting Jordan Poole. I don't think it was a full-blown knockout, but Jordan Poole did hit the ground hard. Like, he went down harder than the UPS delivery driver throwing my packages at the door. But this is where this fight started and stopped. The team separated the two of them, and the video was leaked to TMZ, and this became a huge deal in the entire sports world. Afterwards, Draymond Green did issue an apology publicly, saying he was sorry for the whole situation and how embarrassed he was by it. But clearly he wasn't embarrassed enough because he decided to shamelessly make a documentary about this whole situation as well. The man made a full-blown, goddamn Michael Moore-style documentary on his punch of his teammate. It's so weird and goofy. I'm going to show that to you now, at least bits and pieces of it, but I also want to let you all know, if you're not familiar with Draymond Green, the guy has a reputation for being a bit of a douchebag. If you just type in Draymond Green hitting players in the nuts, you can watch full compilations of how many times he's kicked other basketball players in their ball sack. He's made a habit out of it. There's one player in particular, Steven Adams. I believe he's kicked him in his fucking jewels 3 times. 2 times in one game, if I remember correctly. So he's got a reputation for being a bit of a dirty player and a bit of an asshole. So this was just a nice cherry on top of that already pretty bad reputation. Pulled out all the stops for this one, all the bells and whistles. They got a professional voiceover here, making it sound very official, professional. And you would think most people in general would want to move on from a controversy like this. Just, you know, apologize, put your head down and ignore it, so that way it will hopefully go away faster. But for some reason, Draymond and the whole team that put this piece together really like to roll around in the drama of this, making it a spectacle. I don't know what they thought was a good idea about this, making a documentary to explain the punch. It's totally unnecessary. I think everyone understands what happened here. Draymond got upset and punched his teammate. It's very simple. It's like the simplest story ever told. Yet they're making it seem like a very complex issue with very many moving parts to it that we don't fully grasp, thus need a documentary to explain it to our little idiot brains here. It makes no sense to me. They're just here trying to squeeze as much milk from this controversy as possible, just grabbing it by the tit to get as much juice from the squeeze as they can. Stuff. Fucking truly groundbreaking revelations here. My third eye is open. My mind is being expanded. Just please slow down here, Socrates. We're tackling some very profound and deep things now. You're telling me there's a correlation between being upset and punching someone? No, No, what? It's not that deep. I wasn't even there and I could tell you why this happened. Because he hurt your feelings and you lashed out, you had a little temper tantrum and punched him. It's not a confusing situation that needs like a deep explanation. The only question I'd be asking is, why didn't you aim for his nutsack? Jesus Christ, you punched your teammate. That's it. I don't think after the punch you immediately went into a sensory deprivation tank to meditate on it and really dig deep into the weeds and figure out, well, why did this happen and how am I feeling about it? Like, did you go immediately and see a psychiatrist or something? Like, what are you going on about here? Jesus. Imagine Jordan Poole. You get punched and the guy who punched you makes a documentary about it. You already know Jordan Poole and the rest of the team are laughing at Draymond Green for this one. And rightfully so. The man is the protagonist of premium cringe from his, like, public apology when this first started blowing up. And I actually thought it was fine. He said, I'm sorry to Jordan, his family, his team, and then explained how he's going to try and make things right and make things better and get trust back in the locker room. And then a week later, he makes this absolutely insane documentary about the punch. So clearly something went awry there. The first response he had, I think, was okay. He's just like, you know what, I fucked up. It is what it is, and I'm sorry. And now he goes full Hollywood here, sniffing his own farts, and makes a documentary surrounding this punch.
That's where I go from here. That's where we go from here.
Gotta love how this video is supposed to be like an explanation for why it happened and a little documentary surrounding it, but it doesn't even do that. It doesn't do the bare minimum. He just says like, well, why did it happen? And it's the process of understanding why it happened, but never even says why it happened. He never even explains why he did it. I mean, everyone knows why he punched him, like we all get it, but this whole documentary was built around the idea of, well, here's his chance to defend himself and give his side of, you know, what happened here and how regretful he is. But it doesn't even do that. But you want to know the best part of this documentary? It says nothing. It doesn't even make a point. It's just like, hey, here's Draymond Green, he punched this guy, and here's him moderately reflecting on it. And then he goes back to practice and he says it's time to get back to work and he hopes he could lead the team better now. That's it. That's the whole documentary. Like, it has no purpose whatsoever. It's mind-blowing that this got made, but regardless, that's pretty much where the documentary ends. It's very silly, and I just wanted to talk about it because I think it's a wild set of circumstances here. Making a documentary about your outburst punching your teammate is such a bold move, and yeah, that's about it. So yeah. Okay, let's see the Liver King response. This is, again, a follow-up to the big expose from More Plates, More Dates that revealed in an email that Liver King isn't natty. He was communicating with a coach to get advice on his stack, referring to like the HGH and everything he was cycling, which is a big deal because Liver King has always defended that he's 100% natural. All you need to do to look like him is follow the 9 ancestral tenets. And he has a ton of companies, claims to make $100 million a year, but it's all based on being able to look like him through natural stuff, which isn't the case. So this is him coming out about it. If I had to spitball a guess, I would imagine Liver King takes this directly. I don't think he's going to try and like claim it's all deep faked. He's not going to claim it's reptilians behind the scenes of the puppet master that faked the emails. He strikes me as someone who's going to try and take it head on and just hope that the majority of his audience doesn't care. That's my guess.
Primals, I'm making this video to apologize. Because I fucked up.
This is kind of quiet.
Because I'm embarrassed and ashamed. I've stated that this is a complicated as fuck topic, at least to me it is, because before social media, I was rich and anonymous, and after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous, and I never expected this kind of exposure.
That was very frank.
In the public eye.
That's what I mentioned briefly in the video. Way before he was the Liver King, he was still super rich. Like, he was still very rich.
Clearly, I did it wrong, and I'm here now to set the record straight. Yes, I've done steroids.
Classic YouTuber sigh.
Yes, I am on steroids, monitored and managed by a trained hormone clinician. Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message, to bring awareness to the 4,000 people a day who kill themselves. The 80,000 people a day that try to kill themselves. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life.
This is all very sweet and everything, but you deliver a message and then sell products based around the message, of which you just admitted a large portion of it, your physique, is a lie. Now, if you were just like a motivational speaker, or just like a normal YouTuber, Instagram guy who delivers positive messages, that's one thing. You being on steroids and everything, like, that's not that big of a deal. But the fact that you constantly defended being natty and sell all these programs based around it, and then aren't actually the result of those things you talk about, is pretty misleading, which he does admit, but spinning it as like this positive thing where I'm only here to try and help all of these people who are struggling isn't super genuine when you're making so much money off them. Like, you could still just be delivering that message for free. They don't need to like pay for it if your main goal is to just deliver a positive message. I appreciate like the very upfront honesty, like, yep, I am on steroids. He didn't try and tiptoe around it. He just came in there and spread the cheeks wide open and letting us see the filthy truth on it. That's admirable. But this immediate spin about how it's all for the people that are struggling and wanting to kill themselves, that I don't put much stock into when you're making so much money off of these programs. Like, that's clearly not the main goal when you're very much taking as much money for it as you can. Hey, Charles here with a little post-game aftermath reflection. After watching the video, I get the impression this is more of an I'm sorry I got caught situation as opposed to an I'm sorry I did it. I'm still not 100% sure, but after watching it, that's more the vibe I got. I wanted to put this towards the beginning of the video just to get this out there before continuing with the apology video. And I want to also let it be known that this isn't some shocking revelation. No one heard that Liver King was on the juice and was like frantically Googling for the evidence because they couldn't believe it. Like, pretty much anyone with eyes and anyone that knows anything about fitness realized that his body wasn't naturally achievable. Like, Jesus Christ, just look at his abs. They look like Lego blocks. That shit looks like it's made out of titanium. You could hit it with a sledgehammer and it'd probably just break the sledgehammer. Most people could tell that he had more juice in his body than a Snapple factory. It wasn't a naturally achievable body type, but he always defended tooth and nail that he was natty 100% and he'd never touched HGH, steroids, anything of that caliber, but that's just a blatant lie. And when his whole product is being sold based on this physique that he's lying about, it seems exceptionally scummy to me. Just lying to his audience and getting them to buy into things under a false notion.
And when asked if I've ever taken steroids, I've always said no. I don't touch this stuff, not gonna touch this stuff, never touch the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lie.
Yeah.
I've convinced myself that this had nothing to do with the ancestral message. I convinced myself that I'm not a competitive athlete of any kind, so who the fuck am I cheating?
You're cheating your audience. I'm still early, so maybe he comes to that realization since he prefaces it by saying, I convinced myself, past tense. But, like, yeah, you're not competing. You're not going to jail for taking steroids, but you're cheating the people that believed in you and believed in the message about looking like you, or at least something comparable. You are cheating them.
So I continually dismissed it, and I dug myself into a bigger and deeper hole.
True.
I have only myself to blame. I did that.
That is true.
It was all wrong. I will be better. I will talk about it openly because I believe that there's a time and a place for pharmacological intervention monitored and managed by a trained hormone physician. Nope. The liver...
See, like, had his message... Had he come out from the genesis of Liver King, from the primordial ooze of liver and a king, if he had come out and been like, look at this physique. This is not a naturally achievable physique. I am on steroids. And then started preaching his message, I don't think he would have ever had a problem. He probably still would have found a very similar level. The spiritual pressure of the Liver King was too much for my internet to handle. It took out the entire power grid, so stream cut out there for a moment, so I'll finish my statement here. What I was saying is he would have still found a high level of success if he was just upfront and honest about his PED usage, because he still has an absurd physique. He has a body that looks like 3 Gears of War characters did a fusion dance. So people would have still went to his content for like workout advice and like general life advice, and he has preached some positive stuff as well as some genuinely wacky stuff that people eat up. They love it. So he would have still found an audience while being open about using these HGH steroids and stuff like that. And he wouldn't have had to lie to them and mislead them about what the human body is capable of achieving naturally. But if you're going to say, I'm natural when you're not, and then sell programs under the belief that they too can look like you, that to me just screams like scam. Like knowingly just misleading them. Yeah, I feel like Liver King's just living in the past where everyone was demonized for using PEDs. I feel like in the modern landscape of the fitness industry, like fitness influencers, most of them are super open with PED usage. I think most people know the majority of fitness influencers are on some level of juice, and they're okay with that.
Why do I do them?
Well, it's not a
when
hard
I talk
question.
about the 85% of the population that suffers from self-esteem issues, that's me. I'm part of that statistic. This is why I fucking work myself to death in the gym. This is why I do 12 to 15 blood-burning workouts a week, just to feel like I'm okay. That have shed light on this complicated as fuck topic. I knew I needed to take this opportunity.
I just don't think it's complicated. He's probably being very honest about self-esteem issues. That's very common when it comes to bodybuilding. But it's also not hard to understand why you would take them in his position. He needs to stand out in the fitness industry. Well, how do you stand out in the fitness industry? You need to carve out a niche. Well, with so many fitness influencers out there, it's a saturated market. What niche? How about something primal? Something like very old school. Paleo diet was huge, so why not something even harder in that realm? And I'm going to really need to look super special to stand out. So you turn to enhancements like HGH and everything. It's a pretty easily understandable reasoning for taking it. Of course, self-esteem probably does play into it because body dysmorphia is so common with fitness. But I think probably the main driver, especially with the emails, makes it sound like it was a manufactured idea from the get-go. I need to get super jacked, I need to be super standoutish, so I need these pretty impressive stack to do that for my business. Seems more like a business decision. But of course, I do imagine he's being honest that there is a self-esteem element to that. But it absolutely, undeniably, was the main reason his brand was so popular.
I am as sorry as a man can be. And all I can do is take extreme ownership right now, be better, and lead myself to a better life as a better human. Again, thank you to everyone for the support, the criticism, the love, the hate, and above all else, the loyalty. Liver King.
I do think he's minimizing the magnitude of misleading people when you run a business like this, because you're selling them a false idea and you continue to lie about it. I think that's a much bigger issue than he's letting on, or maybe he doesn't realize how scummy that is. But overall, it seemed like he accepted responsibility for all of his lying, which is a good start. He didn't try and put that blame elsewhere. He didn't really try and deflect it. He downplayed that quite a bit, but it wasn't a horrible apology by any means. You think he's going to keep using it, or will he quit? And what's your guess on how much muscle he'll lose? He's not going to stop using it. I still think, even though his audience, judging by the comments, is very much on his side, if he didn't look like this, they would probably stop watching. And he knows that, so he's not going to stop. I think he's just going to be more open about it. I think that's the only path forward for him, but I don't see a world where he stops using. Not long ago, there was that viral freakout on the airplane with the lady claiming that a passenger on board was not real. It was a huge meltdown, and it really caught the internet by storm. It was a wild situation that had everyone confused and giggling, but it also really tickled the curiosity bone of a lot of unhinged lunatics. I don't know how better to say that. I can't be more charitable than that. There were so many people that started to speculate that she was onto something. This was all a ploy from the deep state with their 15-minute city agenda where they're sneaking robot, android, soulless husks disguised as people on our airline flights. And only this woman was able to see behind the curtain for the truth of the matter, calling out a fake person. And it was just this crazy conspiracy web about how, like, she's actually correct, there are fake people on these planes and she's onto something. And then they even started making up their own fanfic about how she's missing, the government must have found her, tracked her down, taken her out behind the barn and put her down like a sick animal. Like, just executed her for revealing the truth and opening her third eye with the Sharingan. Just pure pandemonium. This opened Pandora's box of mental illness on Twitter in particular. But I'm happy to say we finally have closure. She was never missing. She's been totally fine, just a little embarrassed about the situation, and today released an apology video. That's right, an apology video. Not only that, but body cam footage of her escort out of the airport also dropped, so we really got the whole kit and caboodle on this case here. In the footage, she seems drunk, a bit belligerent, but that's not 100% confirmed. I wasn't there. I didn't run a fucking toxicology report or breathalyze her, or have her walk a straight line or anything like that. But that's how it seems. Just using my astute little peepers here, that's the impression I get, is she may have been hitting the alcohol a little hard before going on the flight, which would help explain the outburst. So, I want to show you a little bit of both of these things, and also what sparked this whole incident was allegedly she had misplaced her AirPods, she lost them, and accused a fellow passenger of stealing them. So, she just started pointing the finger like, this nefarious, no good pile of shit just stole my AirPods, so he's not real, that motherfucker's not real. That's what started all of this, I guess. Anyway, let's check out the body cam footage and then we'll see the apology video. Also, what an incredible year for apology videos. This is like the 1,000th one that's dropped this year. If apology videos were a renewable energy source, we would be able to power the entire fucking globe from just this year's load of apology videos alone.
I don't care if I'm ever gonna fly with y'all ever again. I want to know what happens to this flight right here.
Hey, this is the after action post-game report. It's me from the future. I'll go ahead and tell you what happened to that flight. It had a completely safe, uneventful, scheduled flight and landed at its destination A-OK. Despite what a couple of weirdos on Twitter were trying to circulate, the plane was totally fine. Nothing happened on the flight, aside from her getting escorted off and causing a major delay and a headache for all the passengers on board. It was totally fine. Like, everything turned out okay. It's not like she was some kind of prophet who predicted that the plane would have a problem.
Do not let that flight leave. Do not let that flight leave. Being dead serious. Do not let that flight leave. That flight's not going to make it to where
Let's go.
It's not going to. Can I just leave? You'll need to escort me out.
Yeah.
Can I just
You had your own warning. So, keep walking.
Oh yeah, until y'all see that fight blow up.
Okay.
It's clear she's very distressed, and it's also very clear that this is not a moment she's proud of. She made that much clear in her apology video as well. This is one of those very unfortunate things that was captured on camera, and we don't know exactly the cause, whether it was alcohol related or something else, but it is I do feel bad for her. In the modern age, everything gets filmed, so you're always going to see someone's lowest moment if it happens in public. That's just the way the world works now. And I was thinking about this when watching her apology video. I have a phobia of flying. If I happened to be in the airport, or heaven forbid, on the aircraft when this happened, I probably would have had an even larger outburst and freakout that would have eclipsed hers. I would have stole the spotlight because I would have been fucking losing my mind. If this lady stood up and started saying the plane's going down, that motherfucker's not real, all rational thoughts going out my noodle. I'm waving my arms around, I'm fucking screaming. I'm gonna sound like Donnie out of the Wild Thornberrys. Like just begging to get off of the plane. But anyway, let me show you her apology video. But before getting into it, I want to mention something. A lot of people, I guess, either recognized her or found information about her. Well, I'm guessing found information about her because she mentions that it was pretty invasive how people, like, got a hold of her information. People figured out that she's a marketing executive. So there was another narrative that spun like a week or two ago about how this whole thing was actually just a publicity stunt. And I just want to knock on your empty little noggin here and try and figure out how you could ever run with such a delusional idea. This is a horrible publicity stunt that wouldn't do any good for her or her company. She's not advertising anything. She's not putting a product out there in front of people's eyes. This is pretty clearly not an attention-seeking publicity stunt for her marketing company. Like, I don't know how anyone would even think for a second that that's a plausible explanation. Just sit down for a moment, really just marinate in your swamp ass and form an individual thought. Why would this be a publicity stunt? Like, damn near landing on the no-fly list? For what? There's nothing good that comes out of this for her. So I don't know how anyone thought that somehow we had all been had. They pulled the rug out from under us. They bamboozled us. This was all just a marketing agency's calculated play. Somehow. It's so dumb. So fucking dumb. I wanted to mention that real quick. Anyway, here's her apology video.
As you know, I have been unwilling to speak on the viral video, but I do finally feel that it's time. First and foremost, I want to take full accountability for my actions. They were completely unacceptable. And I want to apologize to everyone on that plane, especially those that had children aboard. Can't imagine going through that and trying to explain to your kid what in the world just happened.
Overall, I think this was a totally fine apology video. It seems like she's very regretful of the whole thing because obviously this was very public. And she just apologizes to everyone involved in the situation. She takes accountability. She seems sincere. I don't have any real criticism or critique of the apology itself. I don't know where I'd put it on the internet apology tier list, but I think overall she did a fine job of coming forward and just being like, yeah, you know, we all have some very bad moments. Unfortunately, mine was very public and captured on camera for the whole world to see in fucking 4K, right? Like, it's just unfortunate circumstances. She also does mention that she found a lot of the memes that spawned from this to be comical, but then also mentions that there was a disturbing invasion of her privacy as well. Understandable to be upset about something like that too, for sure. So it's nice that she did come forward to finally put an end to all of like the conspiracy theories surrounding this situation. She didn't really go into detail on exactly what happened, so even the whole AirPod theory is still, I guess, speculation since it didn't come from her in this apology video. But it is nice that she came forward to clear the air a little bit here and hopefully put the kibosh on all these weird conspiracy theories surrounding the situation. It's not like she had to come forward, like obligated to make an internet statement. By no means did she need to do this, but it is appreciated that she did decide to, just to issue some kind of statement on the whole thing since so many people were captivated by it. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over the situation here because now there's some closure to all of it. That's really about it. So yep. It just wouldn't feel right if 2023 didn't conclude with at least one more horrible YouTuber apology video, and luckily, Krampus did not let us down, delivering a nice lump of coal under the tree. This had been a year filled to the brim, the cup runneth over, on bad YouTuber apology videos. I was a naive fool to think that we had seen the last of apology videos for 2023, and how wrong was I? In the fourth quarter here, the last week or so of 2023, we were blessed with one more from James Tmartn. He was featured prominently in H-Bomber-Guy's newest video on plagiarism. I'm sure all of you have seen this video by now. If you haven't, that is shocking to hear and should probably go check it out. And I'm not going to recap the whole video, but I will give you a brief synopsis of James Tmartn's role in it. But basically, James Tmartn was pretty much caught with his hand in the cookie jar, plagiarizing his entire online content, fundamentally. It also goes even deeper than the plagiarism. He was accused of multiple other bad things in regards to his content and claims he was making and a bunch of other variety of things. And in response to that, James went dark. He went off the grid, bought a log cabin in the middle of the woods, grew out a lumberjack's beard, he bought a Hoover from, you know, Breaking Bad, and he disappeared. So he went offline, and then a couple days ago, posted a surprise apology video going over all of it, which he deleted a couple hours later when it didn't get the response he was expecting it to. But it's been re-uploaded, and I kind of wanted to cover it a little bit just because it feels right. 2023 had so many of these. We've got to usher in 2024 the right way with an apology video to kick us off getting into the new year. So let's take a peek.
Hi everyone. I'm sorry for taking so long to make this video or to say anything. I'm in the hospital. I've been in the hospital for a little over a week.
Call me John Madden because I'm going to walk you through the play in this playbook here. It's called Emotional Manipulation. It's a timeless classic. There is no reason he should be starting this video with this story here. He uses this technique multiple times throughout the video and doesn't really even address the accusations head on. It's mainly a lot of deflection. But what I want to focus on is just how hard he leans on trying to garner sympathy through this. Now, it's always sad to see someone struggling and going through a hard time and contemplating extremely terrible things with their life, but it's not something that you need to be sharing online in this capacity, and it's also not something most people would be comfortable sharing online, especially in response to things like this, because it comes across as very insincere and disingenuous and kind of like using it as though it makes you immune to criticism because now you've gone through this, if that makes sense. And that's pretty much what his whole audience said too. Even the ones that were trying to rally behind him, hoping for a real explanation, this left a very bad taste in their mouth because it's completely unrelated to what should be being talked about, which is his plagiarism as well as the other things he's been accused of. He doesn't need to be sharing this information with us. This is a very private matter that he should have kept private.
I tried to do something really stupid. I'm really only here now because before I did it, I called my dad to talk to him one more time, and he figured out something was wrong and called paramedics or 911 or...
Once again, there is no reason to be telling this extremely personal story to your audience when this is supposed to be a video addressing all of the accusations against your content. It's just the only reason this is here is so that way people can sympathize with him and feel sorry for what he's been going through. And make no mistake, from what he describes here, it's an extremely horrible experience that I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy. But it has no place in this video. It just comes across as super fucking tone deaf here. Just talk about, if you want to make an apology video or explain your side of things, then do that. And don't go into the private side of what's been happening behind the scenes since the accusations came out.
They got here and I woke up in the hospital and yeah, anyway, I'm not trying to make this a sob story. I'm just trying to explain why I've been so quiet.
You spent the entire first minute and a half making it a sob story, though. That's not an accident, and you could have edited that out. It's here because you wanted it to be here to start with immediately trying to get the waterworks going with people crying over how awful this experience is before you get into what's supposed to be your side and your apology over everything. It's just textbook emotional manipulation trying to make everyone feel bad for you, even though you were the guilty party who got caught, and this is you trying to talk about that, and you still haven't yet, even though we're already kind of deep into the video. Now, it is a 34-minute video, so a minute and a half isn't like the bulk of it, but he sprinkles this throughout the entire thing, so you can't really make a good argument that it's only here to try and explain why he took so long to make this video. A, you don't need to explain why you took so long. You really don't. If you really wanted to give an explanation, you could just make it super concise, like, hey, had stuff going on. Or this has been an extremely stressful period of time in my life from all of this, so I've taken some time to process everything, and now I feel comfortable going forward. Like, you didn't need to dive into it like this, and you didn't even need to explain why it took you that long in the first place. And on top of that, he does also still go over these really sad things in his life throughout the whole thing that aren't just there to explain why it took him so long to talk about all of this. So it really does feel like he's trying to emotionally manipulate people with his apology video. But even when he is done going through this story and actually trying to talk about what's been going on, he takes really no responsibility. He does say, "I'm sorry," a lot, but it feels kind of hollow when he starts throwing somebody else under the bus for things and then kind of belittling the whole situation itself, boiling it down to something far simpler than it is. Like, there were a lot of accusations against him, none of which he really defends himself on in any meaningful way whatsoever. It really feels like the main purpose of the video is to make the audience feel bad. Like, make them, like, blame them, basically, for what he's going through, as opposed to taking that responsibility for fucking up with plagiarizing his whole career.
Really, really sorry. Really, really sorry. For this stuff in the videos, not crediting people, and I lost my best friend because of this. Nick and I had been best friends since...
I don't think I really need to show you more of the video itself. You get the idea of exactly how this goes for the rest of the 30 minutes of it. It's just a really baffling decision to post this in the first place, and it's something he recognized pretty quickly when he saw the responses coming in, the Yelp reviews. So here's his community post addressing it. Earlier tonight I uploaded a video apologizing for what I've done, but it's become clear after hearing from several people that I am not in a healthy frame of mind to be posting anything online. I only returned home from the hospital yesterday, so I should have never filmed it. I've deleted the video, but I'm sure it has been downloaded and will be shared by others online. I promise to apologize properly and in detail when I'm more mentally stable. Until then, please know that I am sorry. He understands that this wasn't a good idea, but insists that he is sorry and will return at a later date to make a better apology video. And I have to say, that doesn't seem like a good idea. Like, I don't understand why he's even going to bother trying. There is really nothing that's going to improve for his online career through an apology. His audience isn't going to stick around through it. They were there for his content, and his content was stolen. It was all plagiarized. Like, there's no reason for them to stay, and it's not something he can just move on for and keep pumping out bangers, because no one's going to believe that it's original work or anything that he himself created. So there's nothing he can possibly gain from even making an apology. He should just do something else that's not being a YouTuber, or find a completely different niche on YouTube to try and make it big in. Like, there's just nothing he can really do for the James Somerton brand here. So I don't know why he's going to try and make another apology video later. It just seems kind of silly to even bother. He doesn't have anything that proves him innocent from the claims. He really was kind of, you know, caught pants around the ankle here. It's kind of kaput. Like, it is clear he plagiarized a lot of things, and there's a lot of other accusations on top of that as well, from the way he conducted himself and some of the content, like in some of the things he said. And there's really not a whole lot he can do to come back from that and make this big triumphant comeback with an absolute fucking banger apology. That's just not going to happen. So why even do it? Just go do something else, man. Just move on from it. So yeah, I just wanted to cover this a little bit, just because it's one more bad apology in 2023. I figured might as well complete the year the only way we know how, with bad YouTuber apologies. Yeehaw. That's about it. See ya. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. I'm making this to say that I'm sorry. I was wrong. I fucked up. Last year, Tmartn made an apology video where he almost kind of apologized for scamming 8-year-olds into wasting money on his shit-ass CSGO website, and I called it the worst apology video that could have ever been made, and I was wrong, because Social Repos has blown that shit out of the water with this new humdinger here. So this man right here, who looks like Marilyn Manson's asshole, is a YouTuber by the name of Social Repos, and he was dating another YouTuber named Jacqueline Glynn, and he cheated on her, and obviously she's very upset, so she made a video about the whole situation to update people, and that prompted him to make his own response to it, and it's fucking abysmal. I'm not going to make the bold claim I did last year and say it's the worst that could be ever given on this site, but damn, you're going to have a hard time topping this one. You've got your work cut out for you if you're trying to make a bad apology this year.
Yeah, I fucked up. I'm definitely going to lose some fans. I'm going to lose some friends. You know, but there's two sides to every story. I wouldn't really call this a defense.
Yeah, you're right. This can't be a defense because there's no way you could defend yourself here. But that doesn't stop him from trying. He's out here looking like the Joker about to deliver a monologue. You want to know how I got this gonorrhea?
So I guess I would like to explain some things. all the brutal graphic details that she explained to everyone. So I'd like to give some very descriptive details of my own, not to slander Jacqueline or anything, just to kind of, I guess, give you a deeper context.
But why? How could having a deeper understanding of the context provide any type of justification for the cheating? I doubt it was some type of heroic sacrifice where the girl you fucked had a bomb in her pussy that would destroy the city if you didn't defuse it by sticking your cock in there. It really just seems like he's doing this out of spite because Jacqueline went into such brutal detail as he described, so he kind of just did this to try and throw some shit at her that would make her look kind of bad. He actually even deleted her comment on this video. I don't know entirely what the comment said, I just saw a picture of it and I only got a little snippet, but it was her kind of disproving some of the points he's about to make. And naturally, if you're making an apology to someone, the next logical step is then to remove that comment from the person you're apologizing to really let them know that you're sorry.
I do deeply regret it.
Honestly, some pretty shitty acting from him during this arc of the anime. It sounds like some House of the Dead 2 voice acting here.
It kind of was a classic case of social media, showing the best parts of your relationship on social media, so everyone thinks everything's just peaches and roses all the time, and it's just not. It's a lie. We were happy, but there's obviously a dark side to everything, clearly.
I truly have no idea what point he was trying to make with this here. Oh, just a classic case of us showing the best parts. None of you had any ideas I was actually cheating on her behind her back. Just a classic case of one of those things, you know?
Because I did cheat on her, just like I did my ex-girlfriend, which everyone knows about because of our best friend.
I don't really see what there is to giggle about there. Oh, ha ha ha, you guys remember when I did this last time? Thanks to our best friend that blew that case wide open. Ha ha ha, classic best friend. Yeah, I betrayed a lot of people. Ha ha ha.
I met Jacqueline, and she was perfect. She was an atheist. I don't know, she cared so much about me and just everything that I did, and I did care about her. And I don't know, everything just made sense.
I cut a few things out here, but it really served no purpose. I don't even see why he would talk about it unless he was really trying to stretch this video past 10 minutes for ad revenue, which would be an incredibly douchebaggy thing to do, but I wouldn't put it by modern YouTube creators. What he was saying is he vowed never to have another public relationship since he cheated on his last girlfriend, but then he met Jacqueline, obviously had a public relationship. And he also talked about another promise he made a while back where he said he would never ever cheat on anyone ever again, and he was wrong. Just like my father when he said I would be 6'5" when I grew up. My dad is 6'5", my mother is 5'2", so luckily I split the fucking difference and I'm 5'6", so I'm really short for a 23-year-old man, and it really fucking sucks. Why couldn't I be 6 foot, Dad? Huh? Why couldn't I at least get close to your 6'5" towering Chad height? But anyway, I love this line from Social Repos. She was perfect. She was an atheist. What a low bar of entry to being perfect in this man's eyes. In this moment, I am euphoric because girl atheism. Yippee. Fucking, I don't know anything about these two, and I'm sure Jacqueline's a great girl for a lot more than just being an atheist. I imagine there's gotta be a lot more to somebody to make them perfect than just being a fucking atheist. But for some reason, this man cares so little about her, he couldn't think of any more good qualities other than her atheism. That's just fucking sad, really.
And she kind of took me on with the thought that she could fix me, and that, you know, there's a lot of good parts that she saw in me. And you know, I commend her for that, but at the same time, you know, everyone did warn her, and...
What an ironclad defense, fucking bulletproof. Jacqueline, you knew what you were getting into. People warned you. You should have expected this from me. You knew this was going to happen. You shouldn't have been surprised. You knew I was going to put my small pee-pee into other lady buttholes. This shouldn't have come as a surprise. This is your fault. It's incredible. He kind of just blames her for this whole thing happening. You should have expected it. This was going to happen, and people told you.
Unbalance in the relationship even early on, which terrified me, and I could never bring it up to her. All the way, we dated for 11 months, and I could never talk to her about it just because I was so afraid, because she got so attached to me so quickly. She was just, it's almost like she just, after month 2 or 3, she was like ready to settle down with me and ready to get a house, and it just seemed so perfect, and I was like, what are you doing? What do you...
From the comment Jacqueline left, the snippet I saw, this is the part she was disproving. Apparently this wasn't a thing that happened. It was him that brought up the idea of moving in together or some shit. it doesn't really matter either way who's right or wrong on that subject because this point is just moot. It serves absolutely no purpose in this video. It looks like this man's skin is about to fall off of his fucking body here. He's like a reptilian shedding here. His flaky, dry skin, I think he's suffering from extreme psoriasis or something, but this man needs some moisturizer ASAP. His face just must be made out of paper mache and it's starting to crack now.
I just would like to say that I'm sorry to anyone that looks up to me or that follows me.
Well, I'm glad you've apologized to the misguided teenagers that for some reason think you're a good role model. That's very nice of you. How about an apology to Jacqueline? At no point throughout this entire thing does he say, I am sorry for what I did, Jacqueline. I didn't hear that phrase. If you're gonna apologize, fucking apologize. Here, take some notes to any of you out there that may have fucked up and are thinking about doing a YouTube apology video. A, don't do that. And B, if you really feel so inclined, that the Lord has chosen you to make this great apology video, then do these things. Actually apologize for it. Say you fucked up and you're going to work on fixing it. Tell how you're going to work on fixing it. And again, apologize for the fucking thing that happened. This man goes on a 10-minute rant about shit that doesn't matter. The next part of this he talks about is content on his channel. Why? What is the point? The video is supposed to be an apology to Jacqueline about what happened. I cut a lot out to this point, but basically he drew the conclusion that he shouldn't be in relationships, he's not good at them. He also speculates that maybe he has a sex problem and should get help, but then says he doesn't believe in getting help. So about 9 minutes of this 10-minute video are just empty, useless words. He could have bent over and just farted into the camera for 9 minutes and it would have had the same impact of the shit he talks about in here. Fucking useless.
And it's clearly I'm a careerist. I'm so deeply entrenched in social repose just as an entity that it comes first. It comes before all my love and relationships and even family to an extent. This is my life. I've chosen it. And I put my all into it.
Oh, you poor hero. All the sacrifices you made to make mediocre YouTube content. Goddamn. My hat's off to you, social repos. If only we Cro-Magnon understood what it meant to be in your shoes, all of the women you've had to fuck behind your girlfriend's back. Damn, we would have so much more appreciation for the art you create here. You certainly are an expert careerist by cheating on a YouTube personality that's pretty fucking big, and then taking all of this negativity to your channel, losing a lot of subs. Man, you've really got careerism figured out, social repos. Take notes out there, any up-and-comers. This man's got it down to a science.
I'm a little hurt that she kind of broadcasted everything. I'm not hurt that she talked about the cheating. I knew she would have to talk about that at some point, but to go into such graphic detail feels a little unnecessary. But it's out there, so.
Oh damn, now I feel bad. He's hurt that she talked about it to such an extent. I mean, there was a set amount that he was okay with and that he would have given his blessing to, but to go past that, that's a bit disrespectful, Jacqueline. You really hurt his feelings with this. I hope you understand. And honestly, he made such a convincing argument, I'm convinced he's the victim in all this. Jacqueline made it all public, and it really hurt his reputation.
Yeah, I guess I'm sorry. I'm sorry I let you guys down. I'm going to do better. I'm going to make more art and more music, and if you don't want to follow me anymore because you think I'm a shitty person, or because I'm disgusting, or because you can't stand the thought of ever watching me again because of what I did to Jacqueline, I can't make you stay, but I promise you I'll do better with my videos and my content, and you know, I'm
once again, just apologizing to the audience that found out, not to Jacqueline, but at least he's promising to do better with his content, so I'm looking forward to his Minecraft Let's Plays that he's going to steer towards. And yeah, just overall, an absolutely atrocious apology here. I cut a lot out, but there was a big rant about the content on his channel and how he was unsatisfied with it, so at least he understood what the big issue here, which was his content starting to slip up, not the cheating. That was just secondary. It's really all about the content, but he's promising to do better content, so yeah, that's about it. This guy seems like a big douchebag to me. So yeah. Today, Will Smith posted a YouTube apology video for slapping Chris Rock at the Oscars. And when I saw it, I had to scratch my head and wonder why. It happened so long ago. I was confused. Why is he apologizing now? I felt like Robin Williams coming out of Jumanji asking what year it was. And then I remembered that happened this year. It was 4 months ago that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock's head clean off his shoulders at the Oscars. He turned an award ceremony into a public execution when he blasted Chris Rock to Valhalla, just banishing him to the Shadow Realm with a slap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh baby, that's right. He starts this with the most generic YouTuber apology intro imaginable. A slow walk into a big sigh right before getting into the actual apology. Textbook. He's clearly been trained by some of the YouTuber apology greats like Logan Paul, Laura Lee, Tati. I mean, this is perfection here. Every box of YouTuber apology cliche gets ticked immediately except for one. He didn't bring his dog into it. A lot of YouTubers like to bring in an animal in order to, you know, deflect some of the criticism with cuteness with the animal. Will Smith, unfortunately, must have forgot that prop this time around, but everything else he nails.
Why didn't you apologize to Chris in your acceptance speech? I was fogged out by that point. It's all fuzzy.
So the main thing he's doing in the apology video here is answering questions that people have asked over the last 4 months. And again, I have to wonder why even bother. It's been 4 months on internet time. That's basically ancient history. Like, that's back there with like Y2K now. Most people have moved on and forgotten about it. So it's a little weird to be this tardy to the party with addressing these things. Now, of course, I understand this was like a career-ruining moment for him, so he wants to do his best to be perceived positively again, both by movie execs as well as the general public. So if he really did feel strongly enough that he wants to apologize, then all power to him. But anyway, the first question that he addresses here is one that I don't think anyone with half a brain ever asked in the first place. Why didn't you apologize to Chris during your acceptance speech? The answer should be pretty obvious if you have eyes. It's because he was still mad. He was still fuming. Of course he wasn't going to apologize for it. Literally 15 minutes before he accepted that award, he had just charged the stage like The Undertaker during WrestleMania going into the ring and clobbered Chris. So of course he's not going to immediately like fold and be like, man, sorry Chris, that was out of line. He was still upset. That's why he didn't apologize. I don't really understand his excuse of I was still, you know, in a fog. It was all still fuzzy. Like, in the moment, that makes sense, but over the last 4 months, what, you've just been in a perpetual fog? You've been in, like, the upside down or something? Like, what do you mean? You've had 4 months if you wanted to publicly apologize to Chris, and you didn't. And even, to be fair, here, you still don't. He says I'm sorry to a lot of people, but the one person he doesn't say the words I'm sorry to is Chris.
I've reached out to Chris, and the message that came back is that he's not ready to talk, and when he is, he will reach out. So I will say to you, Chris, I apologize to you. My behavior was unacceptable, and I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
That almost sounds like a trap, like, hey, I'm here whenever you're ready to talk. And it turns out Will's been training for the last 4 months with slap boxing, so he's been like slapping brick walls until they collapse, so he's ready to really get him with like a double whammy, get him with that encore performance. There's a big difference between saying, I apologize to you, and I'm sorry. I don't think people really understand the value of just saying, I'm sorry. I think it's the most important thing to say during an apology. Which he does say later on to other people, but never Chris. To Chris, he just says, I apologize, and the action was unacceptable. Which is, you know, that's good, that's definitely a start, but I really think you needed that cherry on top here of an I'm sorry. This is also just one of those things that should have been handled privately. I'm sure there were plenty of ways in the pipeline to let Chris know that you were genuinely remorseful for what happened, but I understand why he thought this was a good idea. I'm going to make a video coming forward, publicly apologizing and owning up to my mistakes, letting people see how horrible I feel and what I'm doing to change and be better. The thought process makes sense. You know, let people see a vulnerable side of you and let them know that you made a mistake and you know that. And that, it again, does make sense to anyone who's never been on the internet. I think one thing most people online are starting to understand and wake up to is that when you make an apology video, you lose. It's like what war games taught us. The only winning move is not to play. When you make an apology video, it is a lose-lose situation for you. You're either going to have people that don't believe that you're actually sorry, or they're going to have people that think that you didn't need to apologize in the first place, so now you look stupid. You look like a pussy. Which I'm already seeing with Will Smith's apology. Like, why is he apologizing? He stood up for his wife. Does he not support his wife anymore? Oh my god, I've lost all respect for Will with this apology now. And then on the other side of that coin is, man, Will really needed to apologize, but this apology video was so dog shit, he missed the mark entirely. This is the worst apology video I've ever seen in my life. You just don't win with an apology. So again, this should have just been private.
3 months replaying and understanding the nuances and the complexities of what happened in that moment.
You slap the shit out of a man. It's not that deep. Talking about it like it's the most complex situation of all time. Like this slap was somehow, you know, like a Cold War or something here. It was a simple act that affected a decent chunk of people. Chris, most notably, I would say, was physically affected by the slap, but Will's career was also hurt by it. Chris's family was probably pretty upset by it. Like, yes, of course, people were affected by it, but it's not like there needs to be like 4 months spent of just digesting this giant web that all spawned from a slap. Because, again, at the end of the day, it's really not that deep.
After Jada rolled her eyes, did she tell you to do something? No. It's like, you know, I made a choice on my own, from my own experiences, from my history with Chris. Jada had nothing to do with it.
Jada was behind the camera with a teleprompter and a gun, making sure this question was addressed properly. Of course, I'm kidding. You know, Jada just has very odd moments publicly with Will that I think are very tasteless in the things she says to and about Will. And it's the reason why a lot of people felt like she may have contributed to this overreaction from Will. You know, her rolling her eyes and then just having all of that context with the things she has said publicly about and to Will just made people wonder whether or not she was somehow involved in that decision from Will. But he's clearing the air here, saying that it was just him doing it. And you know what? I'll take his word for it. I think this was just an impulsive decision here. I don't think Jada has some kind of device that she can control Will's brain like something out of Dexter's lab. I really think he just completely overreacted and went fucking berserk here for some reason. And I don't think Jada is necessarily guilty of that, but I do think she is guilty of being a very toxic partner. I know that sounds parasocial to say, but the amount of clips and videos of Jada just shitting on Will to his face is baffling. Like the time where she was just talking about cheating right to him and how much she like enjoyed it or whatever during their red table talk. Oh my god, it's so hard to sit through. As Will's like in tears about it and she's just joking. Oh man, it's fucking brutal. And so now Will looks like a cuck. I mean, I'm just not a big Jada fan. I'll say it. I don't think she's that nice.
What would you say to the people who looked up to you before the slap, or people who expressed that you let them down?
Let me just stop you right there. You don't have to apologize to me. I found this whole thing to be highly entertaining. I thought this was extremely goofy, and no one seriously got injured or anything like that. This was just an absolute fucking wild moment. And honestly, for this section, he should have just said, "You're welcome." You know, to the journalist that wouldn't stop fucking writing about it, like a million articles all going deep into it for no fucking reason, talking about how this is setting a bad precedent and how in the next Oscars, all of a sudden people might be showing up there with battle axes to attack their critics, how journalists are no longer safe, you know, this and that. Like, he honestly should have just said, "You're welcome," for the 2 weeks of just articles and videos about it. Now, of course, there were super fans of Will that were disappointed to see this, and I think it's cute that he said that he was sorry for it and letting them down. He apologized to Chris's family, his family for the negative backlash they've faced. He apologized to pretty much everyone that was directly impacted by it. And now in this section, he's talking about how horrible he feels when he doesn't live up to people's image of him. And I will say he does seem pretty sincere for the most part. But again, it's been 4 months. Most people have moved on. This was pretty unnecessary. Though I'm sure a lot of people that did feel like really disappointed appreciate the gesture.
disappointing people is my central trauma. I hate when I let people down. It hurts me psychologically and emotionally to know I didn't live up to people's image and impression of me. Deeply remorseful. And I'm trying to be remorseful without being ashamed of myself, right? I'm human. And I made a mistake.
But yeah, he finishes it off by saying that he is remorseful and he's, you know, working on being better. And if you stick with him, you can all be friends again. And that's basically where it concludes. Overall, I don't think it's like the worst apology ever, especially in the tier list of YouTuber apologies. I think this one was one of the more sincere ones, at least from everything I've seen from it, unless I've been deceived by his great acting, I couldn't tell you. But this is just one of those situations that is so wild to me. Why do this 4 months later? If he had done this like a day, 2 days, even a week after this happened, I think the reception to it would have been much better than it currently is. Yes, it still has, I think, a pretty positive reception overall from like his actual like dedicated fans. But the general consensus I'm seeing here is, why is he doing this? This seems very fake to do it now. It's way too late. We've all moved on, this and that. So again, you don't really win with an apology video, but if he'd at least made like a statement like this, a big statement like this, right after it happened, I think he would have been in a much better position now than he is currently, if that makes sense. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about this since the slap is the gift that just keeps on giving. Somehow, there is still developments with that whole story that keep happening. Anyway, that's about it. See ya. When you think of an apology video, you probably picture some stinky, goofy YouTuber petting their dog and fake crying, just trying to appear remorseful, and it's always just embarrassing, looking like some shit out of South Park where they're like tweaking on their nipples and saying, "I'm sorry." Because for a long time, YouTubers have had a monopoly on shitty apology videos. Until today. Travis Scott, the famous rapper most known for his McDonald's meal, the Travis Scott Burger, has proven himself to be an innovator not only in avoidable concert-related deaths, but also in shitty apology videos. He posted his own bad apology video on Instagram today, and I thought it's only fair that we look at it. Now, I'm sure you already know, but Travis Scott was addressing the tragedy that happened at his concert Astroworld the night before, where 8 people died and 300 others were injured. This was due to a lot of factors, but the main one being crowd crush. Crowd crush is when a huge crowd of people occupies a small space and everyone gets too close together and inadvertently starts pushing on each other, which suffocates people in the middle. They die from asphyxiation. Crowd crush is an agonizing and horrible death, which unfortunately 8 people suffered yesterday at his concert. I made a video going over this, and since then there's been a few people that went to my Twitch streams just to say Travis Scott did nothing wrong and bears no responsibility and called me a cuck. And I swear to God, if I have to read one of those brainlet takes one more time, I'm gonna go sicko mode. I will say again, while Travis Scott wasn't responsible for the conditions that caused the horrible crowd management and the crowd crushing, he had ample opportunity to pause the concert or stop the show altogether. People were saying Travis Scott didn't know what was going on, so had no reason to stop the concert. So I guess they just think Travis Scott is the dumbest man on the planet who performs with his eyes closed. I don't know. Because if you just look at the pictures taken from the stage or some of the video from the stage, you can literally just see an ambulance going across the crowd, because there's ambulances at all times throughout the concert because people were dropping over unconscious, literally dropping like flies. You were statistically more likely to die at the Travis Scott concert than you were shark attack, lightning strike, fucking driving in a destruction derby. Like, it was a lot of people falling unconscious and an ambulance pretty much at all times in the crowd. And the crowd, of course, dancing on top of the ambulance, all of which was visible from the stage. And also the crowd was begging the organizers as well as screaming at Travis to stop the concert. But even still, let's assume all of that. Travis didn't see the ambulance. He didn't see or hear anyone begging him to stop the concert. There is a clip that I mentioned in my video where Travis Scott literally tells security to get one of the unconscious bodies out of there. He noticed that one of the guys was fallen unconscious or something. He asked security to get him out. Security is crowd surfing the guy's body out of the venue as Travis Scott is watching and singing at the body, literally giving it a walk-off song. Travis Scott knew people were falling unconscious, as evident from that one clip alone, and he still chose not to pause, take a break, or stop the concert. He bears a lot of responsibility, and Travis Scott has stopped concerts before for much less. There's a very popular clip that's now floating around where Travis Scott crowd surfed and got his shoes taken, and he stopped the concert on the spot to spit on the guy that took his shoes and tell the crowd to beat his ass. So Travis Scott has stopped concerts for his shoes, but doesn't stop it for the loss of life. So he values shoes more than people's lives, I guess, more than his fans' lives. That's the impression I get. Travis Scott bears responsibility, accept it, stop defending him, stop huffing that copium. Now with that being said, let's check out his apology video.
I just want to send out prayers to the ones that was lost last night. We're actually working right now to identify the families so we can help assist them through this tough time. You know, my fans really mean the world to me, and I always just really want to leave them with a positive experience.
Man, you can tell this clip is serious because he put the black and white filter on it. Fuck. You can tell it's really getting to him. This whole apology video looks like he was just woken up out of a deep slumber and forced to make this by like his lawyer or something. Like, hey, get the fuck out of bed, we need you to make an apology video. And he's like still sleepy. He's like, oh fuck, okay. Hey guys, sorry. And then he's like rubbing his face really hard, hoping to get 1 or 2 tears to come out, but they just won't fall. He can't get the tears flowing. It seems more like he's annoyed than sad. Like, this is how I react when my dog takes a shit on the carpet. It's like, ugh, fuck, it's on the carpet, which means I'm gonna need to use like nature's miracle or something to get it off, and it's gonna be a big mess. Oh, Jesus.
Anytime I can make out, you know, anything that's going on, I stop the show and, help them get the help they need,
Yeah, but you didn't. You did identify someone who was unconscious. You identified someone's lifeless body and told security to get out of there. And then you started singing to the body and then continued on the show. Like, you immediately just went into a song. So, I mean, you did identify it, and I mean, I guess you got them the help they needed, getting them crowd surfed out of there, but you didn't stop the show. Even after finding that, you still continued.
I could just never imagine the severity of the situation. We've been working closely with everyone to just try to get to the bottom of this. The City of Houston, HPD, Fire Department, everyone to, help us figure this out. So if you have any information, please just contact your local authorities.
Yeah, every single person involved in Astro World here needs to be held accountable. The second people started breaking through security checkpoints and climbing fences to flood the venue, they should have taken precautions to pause the concert, delay it, or something, because they were not equipped to handle that capacity, and this is the natural result of that. It's a true fucking tragedy, and everybody, Travis Scott included, needs to be held accountable for what happened here. Now, I did read reports that there was someone who injected a security guard with a needle, which caused the security guard to pass out. I don't know if there was some kind of, like, fucking supervillain there injecting people with something. But even if that was the case and not everything was related to crowd crush, there was still plenty of people recognizing all of these unconscious bodies and should have stopped the concert. If anything, that would be more reason to stop the concert, and they still chose not to, which is an even higher level of negligence.
Everybody continue to just keep your prayers. I mean, I'm honestly just devastated, and I could never imagine anything like this just happening. And I'm gonna do everything I can to keep you guys updated and just keep you guys informed on what's going on. Love you all.
As is standard practice for apology videos, there isn't an apology. There's no "I'm sorry." It's crazy. Every single fucking apology video ever, for some reason, lacks the most basic apology. A simple "I'm sorry." Nothing. None of that present here. And I just wanted to go over it. It's not like a very informative video or anything like interesting, but it just shows how disconnected celebrities are, that this seemed like a good idea to him. At no point do I get the impression he truly cares about what happened. It seems more like he's worried about potential lawsuits that he's going to face. And not potential, the inevitable lawsuits that he and his team will face. It seems like something that he was forced to make, as is pretty clear by how uninterested he looks in the video. And it's so baffling. Why even bother at this point? He made a Twitter statement. Why did he even bother making this when he clearly doesn't seem to care that much? He doesn't even take responsibility at all. So, I mean, I just wanted to at least show this since he did post this apology video on Instagram, and yeah, that's about it. So, yeah. It's impossible to say what the worst feeling in the world might be. I think most people would default to answering that with something painful, like getting hit with a sledgehammer, getting shot. Childbirth is usually towards the top of that tier list for how painful it is. Maybe watching Rebel Moon Part 2 for how abominable it is. But I actually think there's a right answer to what the worst feeling in the world is. And it's being dead. And a YouTube channel called Watcher would agree with my analysis because they experienced death for about 3 days when they released their Goodbye YouTube video, where they announced that they were leaving the platform in order to have their own subscription-based third-party platform for their content going forward, and people didn't like that. They got spit on more than a mic at a beatboxing competition, and now they're backpedaling. They've released an apology, and they've announced that they've made a mistake, they've apologized, and they've talked about their plan going forward now. I'll bring you up to speed on the lore in case you're unfamiliar with this story, but this is a massive YouTube channel. They are a beloved group where they made this absolute wet fart of announcement where it was saying that they were going to be producing all of their content going forward behind a paywall on their own platform for $6 a month. So all of the content that their fans were used to getting on YouTube for free is now locked behind a $6 a month subscription fee. They said they continue to drop premieres on YouTube, but the rest of the season, well, that would cost you some clams to access. Obviously, this ruffled everyone's feathers, especially considering they already have a Patreon where people were signing up for monthly membership fees of $5, $10, or $25 a month, and this was an additional service on top of that for a monthly subscription, so it was just a disaster. And they lost close to like 100,000 subs over the course of 3 days. It wasn't quite 100K, but it was a lot. And now, today, they've released this.
Hey everyone, last Friday we announced that we're leaving YouTube and launching our new streaming platform. We messed up. A lot of you spoke out with extremely valid comments and concerns, and we want to take the time now to address those.
We've been reading the things you've been saying, and we're sorry for the way we handled this, as well as the way we communicated it.
Right up front, it succeeds where a lot of other YouTuber apologies fail. They say they fucked up, and they say the golden word, I'm sorry. They make an apology right off rip. So it's a pretty good start to this one, all things considered.
We understand where you're coming from, and we're making immediate changes.
First, we want to affirm that you are the reason why we've been able to do anything at this company. You helped us every step of the way when we left BuzzFeed to start Watcher at the top of the pandemic in 2020.
You've supported us in so many ways by watching our content, attending our live shows, buying our merch, becoming members of our Patreon, and giving words of encouragement over the years.
This is another super strong moment here because it's tugging on the audience's heartstrings. It's very much buttering them up in a positive way. I'm not saying that as a negative thing. It's clear that they recognize the significance of having that audience. The whole content creation shit online doesn't work if no one's watching it. I mean, I guess if you had like an army of bots that view it, like you're a kick streamer or something, then maybe you can make an argument that it'd be sustainable even if you don't have a single human being watching. But clearly they understand that you need a passionate audience in order to survive in the online cyberspace Thunderdome. Now, there is something I want to mention here, though. He briefly mentions some of the ways the audience has supported them over the years, such as buying the merch, attending the live shows, subscribing to the Patreon for the monthly fee, and encouraging words. 3 out of 4 of those are huge revenue drivers. The kind words, not so much. You can't really make a whole lot of money. You can't convert nice comments to USD. There's no direct conversion there for that. I mean, unless you're making Hallmark cards, perhaps. But those other 3, attending live shows, subscribing to the Patreon, and also buying the merch. And there is a 4th one there as well, which is just by watching the videos, you are directly financially supporting them because AdSense through YouTube monetization, as well as the brand partners that have paid to be on their content. So they're already heavily monetized content, and I didn't even think about the live shows the first time I watched their video. That's a huge part of some teams' bottom lines because they bring in so much money. It's like one of the main revenue drivers for bands in particular with concerts and buying tickets to it. So they have a lot of revenue sources already for their brand. So then immediately after hearing that in this video, I was like, so then why did you want to do Watcher TV for $6 a month? You have all of these other streams that the audience has been supporting for so long. Why would you want to have another one to milk those titties dry? Like, it just doesn't seem right. It seems greedy. Now, they do shine some light on the motive behind doing this, the reason behind the Watcher TV idea in the first place. So we'll get to that pretty soon.
And we are incredibly grateful for your support.
We're sorry for how we originally delivered our goodbye message to YouTube. It was insensitive. We didn't properly express how much we appreciate all of you. And we did a really bad job of explaining the reasoning behind this transition. We also want to deeply apologize for our ignorance around the impact of the cost. We regret stating and implying that it's a price that anybody can afford, and we fully acknowledge that it is not. We didn't take the proper consideration for how this cost would affect you, and hope you know that we are taking this as a serious learning experience.
It seems like they really did listen to pretty much all the feedback. They're hitting all of the main points, both in their delivery as well as the actual idea behind this venture. So it's nice that they're up here taking the accountability and saying, yeah, these are things that we really just didn't even think about. I'm sorry, we fucked it up. Like that is something that you don't see very often, so it's nice to see them just take it on the chin here.
With that in mind, we're making some changes to ensure that there's a way for our community to continue watching our content for free.
If you want to watch our shows early and ad-free, you can catch them on the Watcher platform a month earlier. After that, you'll be able to watch our shows on YouTube for free. For those that have already subscribed to the platform, we are so grateful for your support. But if this change has you rethinking your membership, we will issue a full refund. And all past episodes and series will remain available on YouTube.
That's a pretty solid change overall. That is something you see for a lot of Patreons for YouTubers or third-party offerings if it's not Patreon. So it does make sense that they do this here. I am surprised that that's not something they were already offering on Patreon with early access. That's one of the more standard ones. But I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If there's people that are just hungry, starved for more Watcher content, they can subscribe for $6 a month on that platform and they get that content fed to them a month early. And those that don't want to or can't afford to can just wait for it to premiere on YouTube for free, as it has always done in the past for the content that they've come to know and love. That gets 2 thumbs way up from me for the back of the DVD box on that change. I think that's completely fine. Everyone wins there. If you really want the content early, you subscribe to the early access membership for Watcher TV. And if you just want to get the content that you already know you like, you just wait for it to come up on YouTube, and it's no different for you. So I think that is a totally fair compromise.
As for the question of why we decided to launch our own platform, when we started Watcher in 2020, we wanted to create shows that we were proud of, that we had ownership over, and that would provide you the caliber of content that we felt you deserved. However, we were finding it harder and harder to stay relevant to advertisers and the constantly changing YouTube landscape.
This is where my eyebrow raised a bit, so I decided to look into their content just briefly. I didn't do like a full deep dive here, but of their last 20 videos, 12 of them have brands on them. I'm excluding their Goodbye YouTube video, but also there's one more in that batch of 20 that I think doesn't really count, and it's a teaser trailer for the mystery files that they did, so it was just a very short trailer. But 12 out of 19 full videos have sponsors in them. As I mentioned in the last video, I own an agency that manages a lot of major YouTube channels of this size and bigger. So I know what a lot of those deals look like, and I know that those deals are super lucrative. And at their size, those are significant numbers that we're looking at. Over half of their videos of the last 20 are brand partnered. It doesn't seem like they were really struggling to get brands on their content, so I don't exactly know what he means by staying relevant to brands, especially because in this industry, brands focus mainly on your cold, hard Carfax, your metrics, your numbers, and they pull in great viewership numbers as well as a very engaged community. So brands must have hearts in their eyes anytime they get the chance to work with Watcher, just because their numbers are so good. But on top of that, they actually produce some of the most brand-friendly content imaginable. This is the type of shit brands salivate over. It's long-form, highly produced content, and the creators actually do skits for the ads, at least in all the ones I've seen. They do like a fully produced brand piece in this content. So the audience actually enjoys watching these ads. That is a match made in heaven for sponsors. So I was very confused on what he meant by staying relevant to brands. And then the second thing about, you know, staying relevant in like the ever-changing YouTube ecosystem, that's a totally understandable one. I get that. The YouTube ecosystem is 100% like this boogeyman that no one fully understands. But it doesn't really make sense to me. We found it harder and harder to compete in the ever-changing YouTube landscape, so we abandoned it. We waved the white flag and said we're defeated, so we created our own platform with blackjack and hookers. That's a Futurama reference. I'm not saying that's what Watcher TV is. But the point is, why would you go from this is a lot going on YouTube and it's changing to, all right, guess we got to leave it now and then charge people for access? That just doesn't really compute to me, because you kill your brand, obviously, which I think they've recognized now from all the feedback. It's very hard to get people to subscribe to $6 a month content on a third-party platform they don't know, as opposed to just showing them some free YouTube videos. You built your brand very successfully on YouTube, and you are still only growing from everything I can tell. So why would you abandon it at the height of your growth, right? Like that, I don't know, that reason doesn't really make a ton of sense to me, but I understand being like afraid about, you know, long-term sustainability with how frequently YouTube is changing. I do get that, but I feel like the natural progression there would be like, okay, so how can we stay competitive on YouTube, as opposed to, okay, how the fuck can we get out of here?
We faced some incredibly challenging decisions. We didn't want to compromise our content to ensure they met advertising requirements, and we definitely did not want to lay people off that have brought Watcher to life behind the scenes, and we didn't want to bring Watcher to a close, which would have happened if we stayed solely on YouTube.
That's why we decided to launch the platform, so that we as a company could continue, we could pay our staff fairly, and not only continue to make great content for you, but expand with new shows, new voices, all ad-free. And now with the addition of accessible options, this is a decision that we all believe is the best for Watcher.
All those reasons he lists are perfectly reasonable. You don't want to lay off your staff, great. You want to pay them fair, great. Like all of these, they check mark the boxes of good shit. I support that. But I don't understand why your only option was to leave YouTube and charge $6 a month to your audience that's already paying for more merch, live shows, and Patreon. At least a large number of them are. They have over 13.4 thousand Patreon members right now. From all of this controversy, their Patreon has actually flourished more than it ever has from what I can see. So why would you want to take even more money out of their piggy banks here? The strategy would be to keep growing on YouTube so you can continue to monetize, you can charge higher rates to the brands that you work with, that I imagine you will continue to work with. And also, more views means more AdSense money. And like I said, this channel is so advertiser friendly. It's exactly what brands and YouTube themselves want, long form, high quality content. Their RPM is probably super fucking high. So the more they would grow on YouTube, the more money they would stand to make. They would easily be able to expand, I would think, without charging $6 a month for their initial idea of paywalling the content that they were used to giving for free. I do like their new model of pay $6 a month for early access, but I still do find it unnecessary. I feel like the only reason that's there is because they can't fully walk back that now. They can't just get rid of that because people have already paid for it, so they need to offer something to those people that have already signed up. But I don't think it's a necessary thing for the survival of their brand. I really don't. Like I said, I know what these brands pay to be on the content. So just their sponsorships, I know they're bringing in 6 figures from these sponsorships. Easy. Easy. And their Patreon, you can start crunching the numbers. 13.4 thousand Patreons at $5 minimum, up to $25. Like, come on. That's a lot per month. Plus their merch. Their merch is pretty pricey, and people are clearly buying their merch. It seems to sell out quite a bit. That's a lot too. Live show tickets, when those come around, that's a pretty big influx. Their AdSense popping off. Like, they have so many revenue streams, I don't know how they can possibly be at this point where they need to find more ways of taking money from their audience in order to survive. That just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, unless there's some really odd mismanagement going on behind the scenes here. The videos they make aren't cheap, but I am confident that they're not costing them $500,000 per video or something outlandish like that. I know that's not the case. So how can you possibly be at this point where we had to find a new subscription for people to pay for in order to keep Watcher alive? I just don't get that.
However, we realized that in figuring out the logistics of what this might take, we overlooked the way it would impact all of you. We hope you'll be patient with us through these mistakes, and we remain incredibly sorry that they were made in the first place. We also want to directly address our Patreon community, who have played such a key role in supporting us from the very beginning. All current Patreon members will receive a free subscription code to the platform. If you already purchased a subscription, please contact us and we will issue you a full refund.
We look forward to continuing to make shows and introducing all the incredible things that we've got planned for the platform alongside YouTube. And in the meantime, we are forever grateful to all of the people who make up our community, and we hope that you consider joining us in this next chapter of our journey, whether that's on YouTube or on the platform.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Overall, this is a good apology video, I feel. They say I'm sorry multiple times, they admit their faults, they try and explain why things were the way that they are, and how they missed the mark. Like, they take a lot of it and seem to understand it from a place of genuine authenticity, which is great. I still, however, don't understand why it reached that point to begin with. I don't see how a channel of their size and their success with all of the revenue streams that they currently offer could possibly be struggling financially. I don't understand. I don't. Like, knowing what I know about this space, I just don't see how they could be needing to take even more money from their audience to survive. I do think they made a good change with what they're offering for $6 a month. I personally don't think that it's necessary at all, though, especially because the way they frame it in this video makes it sound like that's the only way the Watcher survives, is if they find a way to monetize even more off the backs of their viewers. So that's why the $6 a month there is being charged, because it helps keep them afloat. I don't know how they could possibly, with all of these revenue streams, be struggling to the degree that they make it seem like they are. But whatever, that's neither here nor there, I suppose. This announcement was very positively received by their audience, and that's the most important thing for the health of their channel and their brand, is that their audience feels satisfied with this update. And from what I can tell, they do. A lot of them do still state that there's been a breach of their trust here with what they tried, but it seems like they're forgiving and willing to see how things play out for this group in the future. So I guess we'll see what the Watcher does down the line. That's really about it. See ya. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. I know everyone hates YouTube drama, but I'm not one of them. In fact, this has become one of my biggest guilty pleasures, just watching YouTube drama unfold from afar. This is my soap opera. This is my As the World Turns, fucking As the YouTube Burns, that's what this is. And it's great. It's just this big hubbub over very mundane things on the website, and it's become so popular recently, and I can't help but kind of tune in because it's very fascinating. And one thing I always look forward to in these situations is the inevitable apology video from one of the two sides, because they're usually just absolutely atrocious and very fun to watch. Now, I'm sure anyone watching this is familiar with the CSGO Lotto drama. To sum it up, two big YouTubers, Syndicate and Tmartn, own this gambling website for Counter-Strike skins, and they never disclosed that they owned it and manipulated their viewers into using it and all this shit. And today Tmartn made an apology video for it, and it is turbo shitty. So I wanted to just kind of talk about it. So the video starts with Tmartn talking to his special guest Airbud, and they're running a promotional for Airbud's new movie, Airbud Gambles on CSGO Skins, and he's saying how difficult it's going to be for him to make this video. So right away, T-Sharton has made me very uncomfortable and squirming in my chair like my rectum's been tickled by a fucking porcupine, because it's the most cringeworthy attempt at using one of the most popular techniques for public service announcements and emotional campaigns, where you get a cute animal there to get the viewer's guard down, make them feel like you're being real with them, make them feel like they're being genuine, and just kind of elicit sympathy from the viewer. And Tmartn's trying to utilize this technique, but he does it atrociously. It's just an absolutely abysmal attempt, and it comes across as so fake and so forced and just sets a horrible tone for the rest of the apology video. Now, I'm not going to play too much of the video because there's nothing to really be gained by listening to this human Ken doll repeat himself. the gist of the apology is he is sorry that you were too fucking stupid to understand that he was the owner of CSGO Lotto, and he is sorry for not spelling it out for your dumb ass every single day in every single video, reminding you that he owned it. It's your fault. This controversy is nothing that he's done wrong. It is just your fault as a viewer for not knowing that he owns CSGO Lotto, and he makes it very clear that he has done nothing illegal whatsoever. That's basically all this apology video is shifting the blame for this whole controversy on his audience. It's the audience's fault for not understanding or knowing that he was the owner of the website. That's basically this whole thing. So this no-nippled Neanderthal doesn't address any of the actual complaints or issues people had about this situation. He doesn't talk about why he blatantly lied about owning CSGO Lotto. He doesn't talk about why he changed the descriptions of all of his videos to add a disclaimer in the description, and he also doesn't talk about why he pretended to find CSGO Lotto instead of saying he made it or owned it. I'm not going to get too deep into talking about the actual drama because there's nothing I can offer that hasn't already been talked about or discussed. But basically, he just pretended like he found CSGO Lotto when he brought it up as if it was some type of random chance. Oh, you know, I was on Google looking for new $2 million villas to buy that I could use as public shitting arenas where I can invite homeless people in to just shit in all the rooms in the house if they'd like, you know, because I'm a good guy, you know. But while I was looking for this, I happened to come across a diamond in the rough. It's called CSGO Lotto. I'll put the link in the description in case you guys want to check it out. It's kind of cool. It looks really nice. I hear the owner has a massive dick. It's just, it's a cool site, you know. I think it's good. I'm not associated in any way. That's basically what he did. He pretended he didn't know what it was, and he doesn't talk about any of these issues in his apology video. This man doesn't take responsibility for shit. What he needed to do was grit his tiny tic-tac ass teeth and just say, look, I fucked up, I did this, I did that, I shouldn't have done any of those things, and he would have got a lot more respect out of people, and they wouldn't have seen him as this fucking asshole that I think the majority of people see him as now after this apology video. Because all of this comes across as so fake, and just reading the comments and just looking at how people are reacting, they all see right through it. He is just sorry he got caught, that is all. He doesn't give a fuck about the situation or his audience in general. He just wants people to keep watching him no matter what so he can continue to live in his expensive 2-story mansion with his nice truck in the background and that peculiar modern art painting in the background that looks like Solid Snake inside of a Mr. Meeseek's uterus. I'm not quite sure what the fuck's going on with that, but I'm sure it's about $50,000. Now, I'm sure he knows that it doesn't really matter how he handled this situation. He's going to be fine in 2 months no matter what. In fact, he'll probably be better off in 2 months than he is right now because everyone has heard his name so much recently they're going to check him out of curiosity. So he's not going to really lose many viewers and he'll actually probably gain more. He knows that he could have handled this situation any way he wanted. He could have shown his asshole on this apology video and still everything would be fine. His lifestyle wouldn't be affected, his profession, none of that would be affected, and he knows that, so he doesn't really give too much of a fuck. And another thing that really upset me about this video is the way he ended it. He ended it with him grabbing the camera like he was about to give me a fucking Ghost Rider penance stare. Come on, bro, you gotta do better than that. Edit that shit out. Have you never edited your own video? Do you just have beavers slap their fucking tail on your keyboard and edit your shit? Come on, pussy fart, do better than that. Now, I know everyone talks about, oh, how do you kill a YouTube channel? There's just no way. They're too big to fall. That's bullshit. A YouTube channel can die just like any other website or any other company, anything like that. All it takes is for people to stop watching them. If you really feel passionately enough that you really don't want this guy to be able to continue to manipulate people and do types of shady shit, stop watching him. It's that easy. Don't go on his channel to dislike and insult the guy. It doesn't fucking matter. It just really makes no difference. If you want a YouTube channel to disappear, you stop watching it. That's how it works. That's how it works with a lot of shit in the world. If you just give it attention, it's going to persist. There's no such thing as bad publicity. That's a saying for a reason, because as long as it's being talked about, it's going to continue to exist, no matter people's opinions on it. The only way things really do fade into obscurity is you stop supporting them or just acknowledging them. That's a better word for it. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about this situation because this is one of the worst apology videos I've seen out of a YouTube drama situation, so I thought it'd be fun to talk about. So yeah, that's it. And I do read a lot of your comments. In fact, one of my favorite comments I've ever read is someone said, "My voice sounds like the world's most unenthusiastic handjob," and that one gave me a real hoot. But the reason I'm saying this is I read your comments and I know a lot of you don't like when I talk about drama or get involved in YouTube drama in any capacity. And I know, I understand, and I don't do it often, but sometimes certain situations affect me and make me want to talk about it or point out how horribly the situation was handled. But that's it. It's not going to be like something I do all of the time or anything like that, so don't worry about that. And yeah, that's it. So yeah. Yesterday, iDubbbz posted a YouTube video that's become extremely divisive. I haven't seen people this divided on a singular topic since the red and blue dress debate. The video he posted was basically an apology for the content he made in the past, apologizing for it being hurtful or damaging, and a whole myriad of other things that he wanted to come forward with, and talking about how he's changed as a person and thus his content will be changing. He goes over like insecurities of his past, and overall he just invites the audience into the back of the kitchen to see how the sausage is made and meet the chef. And for a lot of people, they didn't want to meet the chef. He's being very open and honest about his feelings on his older self and now his current mentality, how he feels better and healthier and doesn't like what he did in the past and didn't like who he used to be. So it's a whole apology video for all of that. He releases more feelings in this video than Pandora's Box, and I kind of want to go over this whole situation because I have a lot of thoughts on the topic, not only as it pertains to iDubbbz in particular, but just in the general creator space. There's a few things that I want to talk about here.
For a while, I felt like if I changed my content over time, that people would see that as a reflection of who I am and what I value, but I'm starting to realize that that is a very weak and passive way to, you know, run my channel and live my life.
I'm sorry to immediately come in here with the Phoenix Wright objection, but I completely disagree with the sentiment that it's weak or passive to change your content and expect people to see that as a reflection of yourself. That's pretty much the optimal way of handling any kind of situation in which you're not comfortable with either your audience or the content you've been making. By changing the content over time, you're changing the audience over time as well, obviously, right? The people that subscribed for your previous catalog of content might not stick around for the stuff you start creating when it goes in a different direction, and that's a totally fine thing. I don't think there's anything weak about just making different content and growing individually without having to come forward and share that growth with your audience. At the end of the day, your subscribers aren't your friends. You don't know them and they don't know you. That's the brass tacks of it. Sorry to blast the cold water in your face first thing in the morning. You don't owe them an explanation for why you're changing your content. You're welcome to tell them. I think that's totally within your right to do, but I really disagree that it's weak if you don't explain why you're changing your content. You can just make different stuff and go in that direction where you're happier without ever really needing to come forward and like really lecture on why.
I think I should have the balls to make an apology video and take accountability for the mistakes I've made. So that's what this video is. I am responsible for creating a lot of hurtful and damaging content on this channel. And I've also created a culture of apathy and, I don't know, a lot of like cruelty as well. Like, you know, some of the videos I've made have been very, not edgy. I don't think they you know, some of these videos were edgy. I think they were just outright cruel.
It sucks to hear that this is how he thinks about his old content and his old self. It's always a very difficult realization when you look back on, you know, the you of a few years ago disappointed. Like, I used to be 5'6", and I still am, but it sucks to realize that I was then too, and have been for a long time. Point is, he wasn't happy with the content he made or the person he was, and now he's trying to apologize for the videos he made. And I, once again, have to completely disagree with the way he looks at it. I feel like his perspective on it is very warped by the way the internet has evolved over the years. The way he talks about this content makes it sound like he used to fucking murder puppies for these videos, which it was never that extreme. I very much would consider it edgy. It was 2016 edginess in all of its glory. That was entirely the brand. And for its time, it lived peacefully. You know, all four nations, water, earth, fire, air, lived together in harmony with all this edginess going on. Now, obviously, times have changed, and he has changed. He's gotten older. He's in his 30s now. In your 30s, it's not exactly entertaining to just be spamming slurs for shock humor. I don't find that entertaining, and he doesn't either. So it's totally fine to want to distance yourself from making content like that. But I don't think it was a mistake that he made those videos. Like, they're not hurtful, nor do I really think they're damaging. Now, you could make an argument that they were hurtful to the people they were about, like the content cop on Tana or Leafy or any of that. You could say, like, you know, he hurt their feelings or sent harassment their way, which may have been a mental burden on them, and you could feel bad about that, I suppose. But at the end of the day, I don't think the goal of his content was ever to be hurtful or damaging. He was just trying to entertain and using edginess as shock humor, which for its time was acceptable online. Now, whether or not you think that's okay that it was ever acceptable, that's a different argument for a different day. But the point is, the point of his content wasn't to be hateful or hurtful. He really was just trying to entertain. At least that's how I and the majority of people viewed it. So I just don't think that the apology is really warranted. You can explain, like, I just don't like making that content anymore, so I won't. And be like, hey, I even regret making that content because it's kind of cringe now. That's all fine, but to think that it is this huge, massive problem, like you made an unforgivable mistake, is a little weird to me.
So I don't want people to, you know, get it confused about, you know, where I stand. I have made some cruel, hurtful content, and I need to acknowledge that, and I'm really sorry that it's taken me this long to acknowledge it. The content I'm talking about specifically are content cop videos and videos where I was just generally criticizing people for very lackluster reasons, and you know, obviously didn't have any accountability online whatsoever on my end.
You shouldn't have to apologize for criticizing someone or something. Voicing your opinion on a subject is a totally natural thing to do. I get criticized, I criticize others, people criticize movies, games, music, all of that. And to try and vilify the idea of criticism being evil, I think is a little dangerous, because then you just create these echo chambers and no one ever really grows from that. I think it's totally fine if you regret the way you criticize things, the way you approach the subjects. If you regret how you handled it, that's okay. However, I wouldn't necessarily say that you were picking apart people for lackluster things. You seem to really look back negatively on all of the content cops, but whether you like it or not, you did make good points and good arguments against people who did deserve criticism. I feel like the main pain point of those videos he used to make is the slurs in them. Like, his catchphrase was 2 slurs strung together, right? Like, that's not exactly something to be super proud of. I get that. But to go back and say, like, all of it's shit, all of it's, you know, bad and cruel, I think is going way overboard, because it's not. I don't think any of it was cruel. I don't think the criticism was unwarranted, but it's fine to just regret the way you handled it to a certain extent without saying all the content was damaging or cruel or bad.
I was morally grandstanding and acting as if I am any better than any of these people that I was making content cop videos on, and I'm not. I'm a human. I'm a real human who makes mistakes. And, you know, I make a different set of mistakes than the people I was making videos on, but it doesn't matter. I don't think anyone deserves that level of cruelty or hate. It's also indoctrinated a lot of people into thinking that this is an okay way to behave, and it's not.
I feel like there's a chance he may have been hit by a Men in Black neuralizer and had his memories rewritten of what that content actually was, because I never got the impression from those videos that he was morally grandstanding or that he was trying to pitch himself as superior to them morally. He never really tried to make himself seem like he was better than them. In fact, he would multiple times point out, like, his problems as well, and even give them advice on how they could have attacked him better in response, giving them ammo if they wanted to use against him. It all seemed very self-aware, not from like a moral grandstanding perspective, but just you were lending criticism in a goofy way to entertain your audience as well as provide legitimate points for why these people are doing bad things or have done bad things. For example, making a content cop on Leafy and bullying him the same way he'd bully the people in his videos, right? Like, that's not exactly the most cruel thing in the world. It's just making a point and making that point entertaining to your audience.
I am very insecure about my ability to create interesting content or like entertain. It's gotten better over the years, but it's something that I have struggled with constantly. And it's one of the reasons why I, kept making this hurtful content. You do interpret that as an excuse, but I hope that that is relatable to other creators who maybe struggle with the same thing.
Now, this subject right here is something that extends beyond the iDubbbz situation. It's the insecurity, especially with a creator who's found a lot of success with one branch of content, that fearfulness to try other things because you don't know how to be perceived and you're a little worried about your ability to even deliver something that's not the norm that your audience is used to. That's a very honest look into that mentality, and you see it all the time on the platform with people that have found success in one niche and they never leave it. And that's because there's always that fear that if you do, you'll lose your audience or you'll just not be good at it. So most people live in the exact same style of content forever. And that's how I was for like the first 8 or 9 years of this channel, doing nothing but gameplay and commentary videos, spouting the word nipple and titty and cum as much as I possibly could within the first 2 minutes and throughout the rest of the video. But eventually, you do take a risk and you try other things, and I always think that's the most fulfilling thing a creator can do, which is branch out from their niche. At least to try it, you know, dip your toes in the deep end of that pool and give it a whirl.
I was being very bigoted in a lot of my videos, and I justified it because, you know, I didn't think it was too serious. And I thought that people were going to see that I had good intentions, you know, but that's so silly, you know. Casual racism is still racism. Casual bigotry is still bigotry. And, you know, I said a lot of things that I look back at and I cringe now, and I'm like, that is an awful thing to say.
This I completely understand. That is totally normal to look back on that and cringe, right? In your 30s and really any age over 16, you're not exactly going to be getting a hearty ho 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 belly laugh just hearing a bunch of slurs being spammed. Real life isn't Call of Duty lobbies. I don't think many people in the real world are going to be like laughing and fist pumping hearing you just shout slurs as comedy. So that makes sense to look back on that and cringe. However, none of your videos came from a place of hate. At least I don't think so. I don't think you were ever a racist or a bigot or anything like that. You used those words for shock humor. That was the whole goal, the edgy shock humor of using those words. And you made it pretty clear that that was kind of your drive. And he does mention it in this video with the it's either all okay or none of it's okay mentality. But I really think most people were able to recognize that the things he was saying weren't coming from a place of legitimate hate. Now, you can of course still say that it's unacceptable that he was using slurs for shock humor and punchlines in his videos for the jokes. That's a totally fair perspective to have. But it's still, I think, a little ridiculous to make it seem like it was this big of a deal that it warranted a whole apology video in which he makes it seem like he'll never truly find forgiveness and he'll never forgive himself for it, for saying the slurs in the videos and making the content he did. Because again, like, he's talking about it like he's a fucking reformed racist, like he was actually a racist and now he's not, when I don't think that was the case. He was an edgelord, and that's it. I feel like this whole video could have just been summed up very easily like, hey guys, it was fucking 2016. I was edgy, and now I think it's cringy, so I don't want to do that anymore, and we're closing the book. That, you know, we're shutting that chapter down, putting the kibosh on it. Now we're doing some other stuff. And that would have been a totally fine explanation. A lot of people would have still would have been disappointed, of course, in his audience that liked that content. But at the end of the day, you shouldn't feel like a prisoner to your audience. You should make what makes you happiest to create. Like, I don't think you should have felt obligated to make this video. Like, I don't think this situation was so damaging that it warranted this kind of, like, fucking presidential press conference here over it and apologizing for the content you made back then. You know, I don't think, like, you ruined lives because you made Content Cop. I don't think you made an entire generation of racists and bigots because you use slurs for shock humor. I think that's a very bastardized perspective of how people digest content online. Now, I have no doubt that his audience did cultivate some weirdo losers that probably were real racists somewhere in there that didn't really care about his message and just liked that he was saying the N-word. I have no doubt that that existed in his community. But I don't think that was his goal, and there's always going to be weirdo losers. Of course, you can do your best to mitigate those people from feeling welcome in your community, but that all starts with just changing the content over time. Again, that's not a weak thing to do. That is not a weak or passive approach. The vilifying of your own audience and your previous content, I don't think is the right way of even looking at the content you used to make or the audience that you had. Of course there were bad actors in there, but not everyone was. And to make them feel like they were if they liked your content is a little weird. And I don't think that's the goal of this video by any means, but it does come across that way. Like, you weren't a bad person if you were laughing at his content cops or anything like that. And I don't think he was a bad person for making those content cops in the first place.
I shouldn't be able to just make an apology video and walk away from it. This is something that I should live the rest of my life with, and I expect to. I've profited off of this bigoted content for years, and I've made a successful career out of it, and that's not right. I think that this is only a step in the right direction, and I know that a lot more needs to be done to even approach a life that I would think would be like acceptable.
You don't deserve to be fucking publicly flogged with tomatoes thrown at you for the rest of your life and skinned alive because you made edgy videos in 2016, man. It's just not that big of a deal. It feels horrible hearing this from him, knowing that it weighs so heavily on his mind that he made these videos, so he feels like he's a real piece of shit for doing it. You just made edgy YouTube videos. You didn't ruin anybody's life. You didn't create you know, a fucking army of racists and bigots. The content itself isn't bigoted content either. You used edgy shock humor. And I don't think that makes you a bigot that you're going to have to atone for those sins for the rest of your life over.
I am running ads on this video, and any revenue generated from this video I'm going to match and donate to an organization that, you know, would have been particularly affected by the type of rhetoric that I've been spewing on this channel. And again, this isn't the end of what I'm doing. This is just the start.
You'll get no complaints from me here. I'm always on the side of helping people, so anything charitable, I'm always for. Though I don't think it was necessary or anything, I still think that's a nice gesture regardless. But he uses the word rhetoric here. And that again makes it sound like these videos were coming from like a legitimate racist, which I don't think they were. I really don't. At least I don't want to believe that iDubbbz used to be a racist and he was using that to try and, you know, propel his beliefs forward. He really it seems like he was really just using these words as shock humor, which is cringy, sure, very cringy, and that is absolutely fine to point out. But it just, it doesn't strike me as something that was genuinely ruining people's lives hearing that kind of shit. It's just kind of like an eye-rolling thing to look back on now, like, ugh, that's fucking lame. And that's really it. I just don't think it goes too much deeper than that. Like I said, I have no doubt there really were some dangerous weirdos that did hold dangerous beliefs in his community. But I don't think he made them. I think they were there when they found his content to begin with, and they stuck around because they just liked hearing the edgy words spoken out loud. That's it. I don't think he made them. He wasn't the Frankenstein to their monster. Now, I don't want to just keep dissecting every single piece of the video here. I want to kind of branch this out into a broader talking point about when a creator starts to resent the audience and community they've fostered. Because that's fundamentally what's happened here. iDubbbz has grown up now, he doesn't like what he made when he was younger, and he doesn't like the audience that he made along the way, along the journey. He mentions a couple of times in the videos, like, some of these eureka moments where he's like, man, this is really fucking frustrating the people that are in my audience. Well, he doesn't blatantly say that, but he tells a couple anecdotes about, you know, going to conventions and meeting fans and it being kind of like this mirror held up to him that he didn't like the reflection of. And that's a very interesting and unfortunately pretty common thing to have happen online, where someone spends a long time building their brand and building their audience. And as they grow, they start to really resent the audience that they have. And usually this comes in one of two forms, where you have someone like Darkside Phil. I've used him as an example before, but he has an audience that he doesn't seem to really like, but he needs them because they pay his bills. So he has to constantly keep doing the same things in order to keep the lights on. And I imagine he feels trapped by his viewers because he has to keep doing this song and dance in order to get the money from them, but doesn't like what he's doing. And it also happens to other creators as well who spend a long time building their identity online, but they don't like what they're doing and they don't like the people that are watching them. So then they try and make some kind of change and then get eaten alive by their community, which only further reinforces their disdain for them, which leads to a really toxic community where everyone's at each other's throats. There's countless examples of that. Point is, that experience online is all too common. And when it does happen, a creator's left with a choice. They either just suck it up and keep making the shit that they clap for, even though it doesn't make them happy and they don't like the audience that's clapping for them, or they try and change the content and grow a different kind of audience, which is always the scarier option. That's always the more uncertain one, because maybe no one likes it, and now you've lost that audience you've built up, and now your career is in jeopardy. You might not be able to keep the lights on by doing this career anymore, because now you've alienated them, gone in a different direction, and it hasn't worked out. So the majority of creators in this position just kind of suck it up, rub some dirt in it, and just keep doing the same shit over and over, even if it makes them miserable. And that's why you'll see a lot of creators burn out. So I'll always respect the creators that choose the harder path here of pivoting and changing their content, doing what makes them happier, even if it means taking that huge risk of losing the audience you've built up over time. Even though I disagree with iDubbbz's perspective on his older content being damaging or dangerous or indoctrinating, I still do respect that he didn't like what he was doing, so now he's doing something that he likes more. Even though it is coming at the risk of losing his audience, he'll find happiness in the content that he makes going forward, and maybe he's happier with the new audience that he potentially cultivates through all of it. So, but anyway, just kind of wanted to talk about this whole situation. That's about it. So yeah, right now there's a Twitch streamer getting tomatoes thrown at him all across Twitter for a clip that's going viral of him having an embarrassing and horrible response to one of his community members answering a question that he asked them.
In Spanish, and it's chef's kiss. All right. Curvy, where the fuck have you been? Oh my God. Well, tell you what, Miss Dirty Curvy, you know what we're not going to do? We're not going to talk about it in my chat because it's Friday. And that is a whole big bucket of bummer.
And his response is a big barrel of butt cheeks. So to give context to this situation here on the lore, this was a regular viewer of this streamer, an avid supporter who had taken a bit of a hiatus and was unfortunately going through a very hard time with her mother passing. So when he saw that she was back, he asked her, "Oh, where have you been?" To which she just answered honestly, her mother had passed away, so, you know, it was a bit of a tough time. That's why she was taking a break. And then for some reason, this must have input a cheat code into the streamer's brain that just sent him into, like, debate club. He, for some reason, then just goes into, like, this TED Talk about how you shouldn't answer his question if your answer is something sad, because it brings down the vibes of the stream. It's baffling, because you had asked her, and she just answered your question honestly. I'll play a bit more of the clip before getting into it, but I want to make it clear early on that I understand a lot of streamers have a similar perspective where you don't really want someone in chat that's just talking about like a really traumatic experience they're going through, because it's not really the place for it and the streamer's not the therapist. Like, I do get that perspective, but there's a difference between like just a random person treating Twitch chat like it's their psychiatrist and you asking someone a question and them answering honestly, especially when it's a member of the community that you already kind of know to a certain level. I don't understand why you're all of a sudden getting mad at them for answering that.
And I'm sorry for your loss, but we're not doing that in my fucking chat. Thank you. Well, okay, Miss Dirty Curvy, you said, no, that's fine. You asked, so I told. No, I didn't ask you to tell me the biggest fucking bummer news in the world. I said, hey, what's up? How are you? You know what? Let me give you a little bit of a lesson, Miss Nerdy Curvy. When something really, really bad is going on in your life, and in a public forum, someone asks you, hey, what's up? How are you? There are two acceptable responses. Good, and you know what? I'll make it through. That's it.
So you want to just talk to NPCs that only have two dialogue options. Okay? Then why bother trying to communicate with a human being? Like, okay, give them a script. Make sure your community has the acceptable answer script to my stupid questions. I don't actually care where you've been. Like, just tell me one of these two canned responses. Like, this is so fucking dumb. And I also love the audacity let me give you a lesson here on how to handle my questions going forward. It's just so laughable that he's acting like some kind of social savant here about how to handle public conversations and what you're allowed to say. You're a fucking Twitch streamer, man. All of us as streamers are not exactly the most socially gifted. Like, let's just face the facts here. So why are you trying to act like the authority on the matter here, as if you're some kind of social guru who's now giving a lecture to your community about what is and is not allowed in a public conversation? It's fucking goofy. It's very silly.
How are you? Good? Or, you know what? I'll make it through. Awesome. Love to hear it. See, there you go. Or Prom's response. Yeah, I said, Prom, how are you doing? She says, I'm alive.
You know what's just as easy as those two responses is you being able to respond with some level of empathy like, oh man, that's terrible, I'm sorry to hear that. Or, damn, that's awful news, stay strong. Or, man, shit, that's terrible, hopefully today's stream can lift your spirits a bit. Like, you also have equally easy responses to, like, instead of dwell on the negative here and for some reason try and shame her for answering your question honestly, you could have just as easily had a very simple and empathetic response to it and moved on from it. But instead, now you're putting all of it on her and blaming her for bringing down the entire atmosphere, as if she somehow forced you to enter your goofo mode here, your insano style tantrum that you're throwing. Like, it is your fault. You could have either not asked the question if you didn't want, like, real answers, or you could have had some level of empathy and just given, like, a general, decent response like, damn, awful news, sorry to hear that, stay strong. And then just go about, like, a good vibe stream. Like, it's super easy.
Oh, I asked you where you were. Look, Mr. Curvy, I'm just subtly trying to tell you that unloading really heavy news in people's chats on Twitch is not like good etiquette. It's not the place to do it. That's all I'm trying to tell you. Heavy news like that, when someone asks, hey, where have you been? You don't need to tell them, well, my dog died, my husband left me for a younger woman, my house burnt down, and my car got stolen. So I've been a little bit busy, that's why I haven't been around. Because it's like, oh, God, like, ugh.
Oh, God, your bad news is making my easy job just a little stressful, because now I've heard your fucking bad news, like, ugh. Like, can you have some level of shame? Can you stop having bad things happen to you and then share it with me when I ask? Like, fuck. God, where do you get off? What a stupid perspective, bro. What are you talking about? That's not even what they did. You asked them a question and they gave a simple response to it. Now, for a little further context, she, in her first response, accidentally led with, like, a laughing emotion. So she led with, like, LMAO because she was responding to, like, a joke he had told and then answered his question about her mom passing away. She got a little concerned that it was going to be misconstrued like she was joking about that. So then she clarified again that, no, like, it's just been a rough time. It's just been horrible. So she said it, like, twice or 3 times in total, but it was never to dwell on it or try and treat him like a therapist or treat chat like it was a self-help subreddit or something. She just answered his question but didn't like her first answer because she thought it might get misconstrued, so then just said, like, no, it's just been bad, and that's where it was. She didn't try and, like, keep pressing it further or anything. For some reason, he did. He took it and ran with it and made it an overwhelmingly negative thing and then shamed her publicly in front of the entire community for it, which is so fucking weird and terrible thing to do. Now, like I said in the very beginning, I do understand the perspective of not wanting your community to treat it like it's like a therapy session where they're dropping really heavy things going on in their personal lives into the Twitch chat or asking you to solve the problems for them. I do agree that that is just not the time nor the place, and that's not going to help the person either. That's not going to help them or anyone else around you that needs, like, professional help and someone to actually be there and qualified to give real helpful advice to that person that's struggling. And Twitch chat is the last place you'd want to go for anything real. So I do agree, like, that is never a good case, like, that's never a good situation to be in, but that's not the situation this streamer was in. He had asked a community member that he knew a question, and it was a personal question. Where have you been? Now I'm waiting for your answer. And they explained, well, it's just been a bad time because her mom had passed away. And that's it. She didn't, like, keep going forward about it, like, to try and, like, make it all about what she's going through. She just answered his question point blank. And for some reason, he went off the rails about it.
Like, you know, like, if if someone asks, like, hey, what's up? Where have you been? And it's heavy, just be like, I had a bunch of shit going on, so I've been lying low for a little while. Got it. That's it. I'm not trying to rip you a new ass.
Yeah, not trying to rip you a new ass, just trying to embarrass you in front of the entire stream. The lack of self-awareness here. Buddy, that is kind of exactly what she did, but instead of just saying, I've got some shit that I'm going through, so I was lying low, she said, well, family member passed away, so I was lying low. That's it. She didn't continue to, like, go through the nitty-gritty on everything that happened. She did almost exactly what you said, but was a little more specific on exactly what that shit was. But in essence, it's the same thing. Would you have still melted down if she had said, I had a lot of bad, horrible things happen, so I was laying low for a bit? I don't think so. You probably would have just given a normal, like, decent human response, like, man, sorry to hear that. Hope that shit clears up soon. Why couldn't you have had that same level-headed, rational response to her just being a bit more specific with what that horrible thing she was going through was? She didn't just dump everything on you and expect you to you know, like, coddle her or do something special. Like, she just answered your question. So this is where the viral clip ends, but he did have a response to this, and it's really worse than you're probably imagining. But before getting to his response, I want to hit you with a bucket of cold water to shock you with some statistics here. 93% of all Twitch streamers pull less than 5 viewers, so anything more than 5 immediately puts you in the top 6.7% of the site. These are old numbers too. These are from 2021, so I imagine this has only grown. So why am I bringing this up? Well, because the streamer who right now is catching more tomatoes than the goddamn Heinz ketchup factory is not a huge streamer. At least not by most people on Twitter's definition of a big streamer. He has around 55 average viewers, and to put that in perspective, that does put him in the top 1% of Twitch, at least based on the numbers I'm seeing. Because again, the vast majority of streamers are streaming to actually 0 people. Crickets. You have better luck getting your old high school classmates to watch your Facebook live stream than you do getting found on Twitch and starting a community from nothing. So everyone that's just writing him off as a nobody and fuck small streamers, who cares what they are saying or what their opinion is, I hate that perspective, and I will always hate that perspective. The mentality around numbers is so, like, fucked up these days that they can't recognize how big of a number 55 average viewers is. Like, yes, it's not the biggest streamers on Twitch, but that's still a pretty large number when put in perspective with how big the market is and how saturated it is. But this ties into the bigger point I want to make on the back of those numbers. The market being as saturated as it is, carving out a community being as tough as it is, the last thing you want to do is fuck it up, which is exactly what this guy has just done. He's currently streaming right now with like 140 viewers, which is more than he normally averages, but I imagine the majority of this is hate watchers hoping to just shit on him in the chat. And I've already seen it from a couple of his subs. Some people were saying how disappointed they were in him. And that's a really big deal, because when you have a really tight-knit community, once the viewers start feeling like you don't actually give a fuck about them at all, or that you're kind of a piece of shit, they probably won't stick around because there's so many other streamers that they'll just go to. So this will potentially end up being a huge problem for him. His first response was this on Twitter, where he's just taking full responsibility for being an asshole, which I guess is fine. Like, he's just saying, yeah, this was a real piece of shit here. But then 12 hours later, he made an apology video and doubled down on everything from his initial Twitter clip.
Firstly, it is well known in my channel that I do not tolerate heavy news, drama, or trauma dumping, if you will, being entered or dropped into the chat. This has been discussed and explained and made clear many times while I've been live over the last 4+ years that I've been on Twitch. The people that come to my channel often, they know this. They see it all the time. So that's something that I want to make sure everyone understands.
He directly blames her for violating his terms of service for being a chatter, basically, saying, I have very strict rules, you're not allowed to kill vibes with bad news or anything drama-related or heavy. Okay, then don't ask questions that could potentially lead to, like, someone being honest with you, man. Not everything in the world is going to be sunshine and rainbows. So why ask a question to your viewers that they might just be open about if you don't want to actually hear it? You know, it just doesn't make any sense. Like, and why are you blaming her? You're fucking blaming the victim here in this situation. What a terrible look. When you had already in your previous tweet sang a very different tune, where you're like, yeah, this one's kind of on me, I was a douchebag. What changed? All of a sudden now, you woke up this morning and you feel like you're not a douchebag, you're a superhero. In fact, she's the villain because she didn't follow your strict chat rules.
This is not the first time that she's violated the expectation that people not share heavy news in my channel. The frustration from having her argue in chat that she was, quote, just answering my question, even though she's been spoken to about this type of thing before.
Calling this an apology is a disservice to apologies. He is literally just justifying his reaction and saying it's all her fault. She violated our expectation of her in chat and then said she has a history of doing it. And in her statement, one of her twitlongers, she clarifies a bit deeper on what he's talking about. And he's pretty misleading with the way he portrays what happened here. Again, you asked her a question, she answered it. So the quote, I was just answering your question, is very accurate because that is all she was doing, man.
Frowned upon. Dude, I'm getting follows right now. From Joe JCKS. Bro Chacho, welcome to the channel, dude. Thanks for the follow. Yeah.
He even acknowledges that maybe he should edit that out and then decides not to. You should have edited that out. That's what a big yikes moment there. In your fucking apology, not an apology, in your blaming, pointing the finger video, you get a follower, take a moment to say thanks for the follow and like just call out the follower during this. What a bad look. How could you not recognize that as a potential problem? But regardless, the actual video he has made here is not a good response. It is somehow even worse than the initial one with the doubling down and trying to justify it. Like, just have an obvious common sense level-headed response like, yep, I overreacted, this was stupid, I shouldn't have done that, I don't even know what I was thinking, I must have just been in a bad mood. Like it was just so easy to move on from this, but instead you doubled down and now you look real silly for it. That's about it. So yeah. If there was a YouTube rewind this year, I imagine the bulk of the content would be apology videos. There have been more apology videos in 2023 than there have been apologies throughout the last 100 years of our species combined. And just like my age, that number only keeps going up. It's crazy just how common of an occurrence this is. And today we're going to look at a pretty rare one. This is the shiny Pokemon of apology videos. This one's not from a YouTuber or an internet content creator. It comes from two celebrities that I know all of you have seen before. Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
So what are they saying I'm sorry for? What whoops-a-daisy blunder did they make? And I'm sorry to say this, sports fans, because it's not some kind of silly mistake. It's not like they gave like a hot take on anime and got dogpiled on Twitter for it or anything. What they did is actually pretty deplorable. They, as well as many others, were requested to write letters to a judge in regards to the Danny Masterson rape case. I actually didn't even know this was going on. I only just learned about this. Danny Masterson of That 70s Show fame, a show that Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis were a part of for a very long time, has just been sentenced to 30 years to life in prison for 2 out of the 3 counts of rape that he was facing. Danny Masterson was arrested in 2020, and this trial's actually had a lot of developments to it that I was just completely unaware of, but it's concluded now for the most part, and he was found guilty for 2 out of the 3 counts of rape that he was facing. And then it came out that Ashton Kutcher, Mila Kunis, and about 50 other people wrote letters to the judge of the sexual assault trial to just say nice things about Danny Masterson. I guess the idea was to try and hype him up as like, look at all these positive experiences we had with Danny Masterson. Inside Danny, there are 2 demons, a rapist and an incredible actor with a bright smile that could light up a room. And it's important that we don't overlook that second one. Let's focus on all these great experiences we had with Danny Masterson that we knew. You know, Mr. Hyde was a bad guy, but Dr. Jekyll, he was great. So, like, I guess the idea here was to try and get the judge to be a little bit more lenient or something, like to try and help Danny's case by just saying nice things about the Danny they knew. So an excerpt from Ashton Kutcher's letter says, Danny takes his job seriously. He is kind, courteous, and hardworking. He treated everyone from the grips to the teamsters to the actors to the caterers as equals. As a role model, Danny has consistently been an excellent one. A great role model to rapists, maybe. What the fuck is this? This is just an absolutely evil thing to say about somebody like this. What? How delusional can you be? He took his job seriously. He even said good work to one of the caterers. I'd never seen such a saint on the That 70s Show set. To look at a caterer and actually engage in small talk blew my mind. I'd never seen anyone so sweet. He was truly a benevolent angel. A great role model if you just ignore all of the rape stuff. Like, holy shit. What in the world? What in tarnation? And Mila Kunis called him an amazing friend, confidant, and above all, an outstanding older brother figure. His genuine concern for those around him and his commitment to leading by example make him an outstanding role model and friend. Yucky. Yucky. An older brother figure, and still, she's echoing the same thing, a great role model. He just got convicted of rape, and it's not like this is a case with like a lot of holes in it, and it was like some kind of fishy investigation or something. Like this is a pretty cut and dry case. The only reason it took 3 years is because there is a lot of interesting stuff that may or may not have been going on with Scientology being involved. I don't like to even mention that word because that's a very scary thing to even bring up. Mentioning Scientology is like mentioning Voldemort in the real world. But perhaps there were, you know, a few Tom Riddle diary exchanges that led to some shady shit going on throughout this case, at least from what I've read so far. This isn't something where you would see all of the evidence, see the verdict, and start wiggling your finger like, no, justice wasn't served here. Unless, of course, you're part of Danny Masterson's team, who's saying that they got it wrong and they plan to do everything they can to overturn it and all that shit. But, like, as someone who was a friend of him, you should see this and be like, oh, this is fucking revolting. Oh, Jiminy Christmas. Oh my God. Jesus Christ. I was friends with an absolute monster. And then you would not go up to bat for them. Like, you wouldn't start speaking to the great character of Danny Masterson. It's just incomprehensible to me. I couldn't imagine doing that. If my best friend in the world, someone I grew up with, someone I consider a brother, was just arrested and convicted of rape, I would not be singing his praises. I wouldn't be spreading the gospel about what an amazing guy he is, right? I wouldn't write a letter to the judge, even if I was requested to do so by his family, and say something like, listen, you know, I dislike sexual assault as much as the next guy. That's some bad stuff. Rape, boo, don't like it. But he never raped me. So he's not all bad. And also, we used to butt chug brewskis in the bathtub together at the frat house. Like, this is a good guy, and it's just something to consider maybe when you're looking over this and deciding on sentencing. Like, I would not be trying to say anything positive about the person. So obviously, this made a lot of people upset to see them do that. It's craziness. So I'll finally get to the apology video now, but I feel like we needed all of this in order to understand why they're apologizing, what exactly they're apologizing for.
We are aware of the pain that has been caused by the character letters that we wrote on behalf of Danny Masterson.
We support victims. We have done this historically through our work and will continue to do so in the future.
But you also support your friend, even after all of the rape evidence was being put on trial. Like this, I'm very curious now how much they knew about him. Like, did they know all of this? Because they don't seem necessarily surprised, and they seemed more than willing to write these glowing letters that seem like fucking 5-star Yelp reviews of this guy. Like, even with all of this evidence of the sexual abuse, they're still calling him an outstanding role model, an older brother figure. Like, holy shit. I understand they've been friends for 2 decades, so I guess when Danny Masterson's family reached out to request that they write a letter, you know, gushing grannies over how cool Danny Masterson is, they should have said no. They should have just hard rejected that on the spot. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, I haven't passed the bar, but I don't think this is some kind of obligation they had to fulfill here because there were other people that didn't write letters about Danny Masterson. But let's assume they were forced to. You can still say, I was one of Danny Masterson's best friends. I didn't know this side of him. I didn't know he was an evil person, so I don't feel comfortable saying anything nice about my experience with him. Full stop. Like, that could just be the end of it.
A couple months ago, Danny's family reached out to us and they asked us to write character letters to represent the person that we knew for 25 years so that the judge could take that into full consideration relative to the sentencing.
How rotted and corrupt is the brain of a Hollywood drone? Like a Hollywood fucking clout zombie. I can't even begin to try and process how their noodles work. How can he just say that so nonchalant, like it's not a big deal and not just fucking diabolical? They knowingly wrote these character letters to give the judge a full understanding of the situation to consider when giving his sentencing to Danny Masterson. So they knew that this was going to be used to try and get lighter sentencing for a man who committed heinous crimes. How do you sleep at night like that? Like after doing that? I don't get it. Like, a lot of people wrote letters, of course, it's not just these two, but these two are the most public figures about it. But I imagine they called anyone that ever even crossed Danny Masterson's path, like, "Hey, it's me, Tim Clifford. I was Danny Masterson's 3rd grade math buddy. We played together on the kickball squad and he was a superstar. One of the finest kickball players the East Coast had ever seen. Thanks for reading." And the judge would be there, scratching his chin. I didn't consider that he might have been very good at kickball. Maybe we shouldn't be so harsh on him. Like, I understand it's not just these two. Like, everyone wrote these letters, and I guess they all understood that it was supposed to help Danny Masterson maybe get a lighter sentence. I just don't know how you can do that. Like, in good conscience, it makes no sense to me. You shouldn't want a convicted rapist to get a lighter sentence for the crimes.
The letters were not written to question the legitimacy of the judicial system or the validity of the jury's ruling.
They were intended for the judge to read, and not to undermine the testimony of the victims or re-traumatize them in any way. We would never want to do that.
Hey guys, we were just being super evil behind closed doors, and it's a real shame you guys had to see this side of us. We were hoping you weren't going to notice. This was really meant for the judge's eyes only. We don't want to re-traumatize victims. We just want to make sure the person that victimized them gets the lightest sentence possible for the crimes. And I like how they immediately go into an argument no one's making, like, our letters weren't meant to undermine the legitimacy of the claims. I don't think anyone's claiming they were. Your letters are there to serve as a way of trying to help your friend get a less long, less severe sentence for some absolutely evil shit they did. Which is very bad. It's still horrible.
And we're sorry if that has taken place.
Our heart goes out to every single person who's ever been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, or rape.
Man, unfortunately they didn't even do the apology video classic cliche of saying thank you before signing off. You didn't even thank us for watching the apology video? Are you serious? Do you have no manners at all? But yeah, you care so much about the victims of these horrible things, and yet for some reason, a person who was actively engaging in these crimes, you decided to write really nice things about to try and help them. That's really weird. It's hard to believe you now, after all of this. It's just a fucked up situation. Danny Masterson is getting justice, which is the most important thing. But how the fuck could so many people around him willingly just write nice letters about him to try and actively help him in this case? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. Well, I never thought this day would come. A YouTuber just made an apology video worse than Sienna May's iconic interpretive dance. For those that don't remember, Sienna May was a TikToker accused of sexual assault, and for some reason she marched into the mines of Mordor and hatched the most diabolical plan of all time, forged the worst video apology ever, where it was an interpretive dance apology. So she starts fucking boogieing out there, doing some of this, a little bit of these, and by God, I'm ashamed to say it, but she even did some of this. Just kind of downplaying the entire situation. And keep in mind, it was sexual assault accusations that also had a video as well. So there was a ton of evidence, and she still just tried to do like an apology interpretive dance. I did not think there would ever come a time that someone makes a worse response than that. But hooey, how wrong I was.
Hey, it's been a while since you saw my face. I haven't been doing so great, so I took a little break. So a lot of people are saying some things about me that aren't quite true. Doesn't matter if it's true though, just as long as it's entertaining to you.
That bleeding in your ears is normal. This is a ukulele apology video. She's turned her accusations and her response into a Disney musical number here, I suppose. She's got a whole little Broadway moment here to sing and talk about it. Now, before getting into it, let me give some context on what she's apologizing for. Colleen Ballinger is most known for her Miranda Sings character. If you've been on YouTube for a long time, you've definitely heard that name before. She was a massive superstar on the platform. She even had her own Netflix show. And recently, another YouTuber named Adam McIntyre has really started to spearhead this information about her past and everything that's happened to them, as well as the group chat that she used to have with a lot of her fans that were minors, and the way she conducted herself. She's been accused of like asking for ass pics from her fans, and again, most of these fans were minors at the time. She'd even send really weird videos to them. It's just, there's been a ton of evidence of very unacceptable shit, so she's been accused of like grooming as well as being a predator, and this video that she made is her response to those very serious allegations.
All aboard the toxic gossip train. You're chugging down the tracks of misinformation. The toxic gossip train. You got a one-way ticket to manipulation station.
Nah, she's giving us a one-way ticket to defecation station, because this is some shit here. I don't know how she thought this was a good idea at all. She doesn't even disprove any of the allegations, she just calls it the toxic gossip train, like it's some kind of little musical number out of Magic School Bus or something that she's not taking seriously. In the face of very serious claims, she decides to put on the entire clown outfit and grab her trusty ukulele and go to battle. But it's not really a battle because she doesn't even really tackle any of the claims. She doesn't refute anything or defend herself. She just makes a song.
Toxic gossip train. Tie me to the tracks and harass me for my past. Cause rumors look like facts. If you don't mind the gaps, I won't survive in the crash. But hey, at least you're having fun.
I'm sorry to keep pausing this so frequently, I just have so much to say, and trust me, I'm really doing you a favor with all of these breaks here to give you a brief, like, respite from the fucking unbelievable cringe. Like, this is some pure, undiluted, unhinged delusion here. This is so strong, I feel like it needs to be added to the periodic table, like the element of delusion that she is displaying here. Like, this song is fucking haunted, honestly. This is like that track out of Courage the Cowardly Dog with Velvet Vic, where it, like, sucks you into the record player. That's this song, but it sucks you into a group chat where she's, like, asking about your first period and asking for ass pics or something. But the reason I'm pausing it here is because this is something she falls back on a lot in the song, and I don't want to just keep playing too much of the song. She seems to think that a lot of people are taking pleasure in watching all of this and says, like, oh, it's all untrue, but you're just doing it because it's entertaining and you're having fun. I've never fully understood that perspective because I imagine most people don't have fun learning that people they grew up watching or people they were at least aware of being a big influence turned out to be absolute fucking scumbags. Groomers, predators, all these horrible things. Like, no one has fun with accusations like that, I don't think. Certainly not the victims of it. The victims of Miranda Sings, Colleen Ballinger here, definitely aren't having any fun here. This has been mentally damaging shit that they've carried for a long time. Now, I do think there is an argument to be made about, like, YouTuber apologies as entertainment. I made a whole fucking tier list on it. There is an element of fun to watching a completely disconnected from reality weirdo do something like Miranda Sings has done with this fucking singing apology. It's hard not to point and laugh at the absolute insanity of that situation. But in those cases, no one's laughing about the actual allegations. Nobody wants someone in a position of power like Miranda Sings, Colleen Ballinger, to turn out to be a groomer or a predator.
Hi everyone. I've been wanting to come online and talk to you about a few things. Even though my team has strongly advised me to not say what I want to say, I recently realized that they never said that I couldn't sing what I want to say, so.
Holy shit, she's done it. She's activating 100% of her brain. What an incredible loophole. Checkmate, lawyers. Her legal team must have been there like, no! She got us. How did we not think of that? We never said she couldn't sing it. Damn, she's good.
Many years ago, I used to message my fans, but not in a creepy way like a lot of you are trying to suggest. It was more of a loser kind of way, where I was just trying to be besties with everybody. There were times in the DMs when I would overshare, details of my life, which was really weird of me. I haven't done that for years, you see, because I changed my behavior and I took accountability. Let's go on the toxic gossip train.
If you have anything to refute the claims, why don't you present it instead of doing your little talent show ukulele act? She's saying that this video, in the beginning of the song, she's saying that she's only going to be talking about the facts, and then provides nothing. The facts must have been out of town during the filming of this because she does not present them at all. She doesn't provide anything to refute any of the claims. All she does is say like, no, that's all wrong. Those aren't the facts. You guys are falling for the toxic gossip train. Misinformation super duper station, whatever. Like, she doesn't actually provide any evidence, any counterpoints, nothing. All she does is just say that it's a lie. That's it. And I guess you're just supposed to take her at her word because she's singing it? Like, it doesn't make any sense. This is just invalidating to all of her victims. Like, she is like actually like laughing in their face with this video, I feel. It's pretty disgusting, actually. I don't understand how she thought this could possibly be perceived in any meaningful, positive way. Because again, she doesn't defend herself. She doesn't refute any of the claims of all of like the grooming accusations. If she thinks that all of this is overblown or incorrect, why wouldn't she come forward with her evidence to support that and say like, nope, this is where all of this is wrong, this is where it's false, this is where you've been lied to and manipulated. She doesn't do that. All she has here is this dumb little fucking song. I just can't even wrap my head around the thought process.
In all seriousness, I do think it's really important to hold people accountable for their mistakes. You know, we should hope that everyone can learn from their mistakes and grow and change their behavior and be a better person. And this is something that I've always tried to do when I make mistakes, and it's something that I will continue to try to do. What? Oh, you don't care? Oh, okay. I thought you wanted me to take accountability, but that's not the point of your mob mentality, is it? No. Your goal is to ruin the life of the person you despise while you dramatize your lies and monetize their demise.
Once again, this is just like shitting on the victims that have come forward. There are tons and tons of messages as well as videos, like just an overwhelming amount of evidence that's all pretty damning on Colleen Ballinger's behavior from these group chats, as well as just a lot of other things over the years. And in the song, she just reduces that to, it was just a weird loser sending cringe. It was just a goofball doing loser weird stuff. And then still has the audacity to sing about how she's taking accountability? What the fuck? That's the opposite of accountability. You're minimizing, downplaying the very real harm you caused to your underage fans through these group chats, these interactions, and all the shit that you said and sent. That's not taking accountability. You are literally doing the exact opposite by saying, like, it's really not that big of a deal, it's just kind of weird, that's all. And then she goes in to just say about, like, this is just directly shitting on the victims. She goes then into the next part saying that the reason there's a mob mentality is because they're coming forward with all of these lies to monetize her demise because they don't like her. Well, Colleen Ballinger, let's supersize the McDonald's fries here. You're fucking insane. What are you talking about? How could you even, like, actually put this out there? I don't know how she could not only write this song, perform this song, and this is definitely not her first take, so go through this song multiple times, edit it, and then post this without realizing just how... I don't even know the right word. It's like almost downright evil she comes across. Because again, this is like spitting in the face of all of the victims that have come forward with a ton of evidence against her, saying it's not a big deal, they're wrong, they're just doing it for clout. It's so sickening.
I feel like I can already hear the comments on this video. She's gaslighting, manipulating. Oh, she's a narcissist and a rat. I would never make a mistake like that. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize that all of you are perfect, so please criticize me. Bring out the daggers made from your perfect past and stab me repeatedly in my bony little back.
This is gonna come as a surprise, this is gonna be shocking. But yeah, most people aren't making mistakes like this. This isn't one of those like whoops-a-daisy mistakes that everyone makes in their life. Most normal people are going to go through their life without ever doing anything close to what you're accused of doing. Talking sexually with minors in a group chat, sending used underwear to kids. The list goes on, and she beats this point home about like how she's just made like a little mistake here and it doesn't make her a bad person. But this is, again, one of those mistakes that like actually does make you a bad person. This isn't like a little mistake. Like, she makes it sound like, oh, you don't have the right to criticize me because you're not perfect, your past isn't perfect. But most people's past isn't exactly one that's plagued by degeneracy like this. So, no one's perfect, of course, but that doesn't mean that people don't have the right to criticize you for just how ridiculously awful the shit that you are accused of doing is, and also how terrible this response is.
I'm sure you're disappointed in my shitty little song. I know you wanted me to say that I was 100% in the wrong. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna take that route of admitting to lies and rumors that you made up for clout.
Once again, just hawking a big fat loogie in the face of every victim that came forward here. If these are all lies and just rumors, why don't you prove your side of it? Why don't you provide any evidence beyond just a song that says things without showing things or proving things? There is nothing presented here that refutes a single claim at all. She's just singing things, and that's it. That's not evidence. The video and song goes on for like another 4 or 5 minutes, but she just keeps saying the same thing about how it's all lies and manipulation, but she doesn't prove any of that. Why wouldn't you want to like actually clear your name? I don't know what she thought this song would do. It doesn't offer any kind of explanation for anything to clear up what she's calling lies and rumors. It's nothing. There is mountains of like actual messages and videos of her engaging in very bad behavior, very awful things, which has led to people labeling her things like a groomer and a predator, which she really doesn't like, but that's what all of these documents lead towards, point towards, and she does nothing to refute any of it, except make this absolutely embarrassing song out of it. It's baffling. I couldn't believe this shit today. So yeah, like I said, I'm not going to play the rest of the video because she just keeps saying, it's all lies, it's just rumors, it's ridiculous, I can't believe you guys fell for it. But doesn't provide any kind of actual counterpoints or evidence or anything, so it's fucking useless. This is, I do think, the new worst YouTuber apology video, and that's not an easy feat to have accomplished, so that's wild. That's really about it. So yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you've noticed I'm wearing the same outfit, same clothes, because it's been over 24 hours since my last shower. I've been busy. What are you going to do about it? Call the stink police? Get the odor officers out here? I'll shower here shortly. Today, we're doing something we haven't done in a long time. We're looking at an apology video. This one I could not resist talking about. It is a shockingly bad apology video, even when you consider all of the classics we've seen come out over the decade. It's a TikTok creator named Michael Duvall. To summarize a lot of the lore, just dropping you some tidbits on it, Michael Duvall was a preschool teacher who produced OnlyFans content at the preschool he worked at. You'll hear it come directly from his mouth in a moment, but occasionally he would take nude photos of himself in the bathroom and even had a video of him masturbating and ejaculating onto the toilet seat, which apparently had like a training seat on it, like for kids to learn how to use the bathroom. It's fucking gross.
I guess let's just start from the very beginning. And 2020 is when I made my OnlyFans. 21 about is when I met my ex-fiance and we got engaged in 2022. And we also broke up in 2022. But I would say that this whole OnlyFans story starts from when we were still together.
He spends the first like 3 minutes here talking about his previous relationship and how it kind of got him back into doing OnlyFans content. He said it was a bad relationship, a lot of bad things happened, felt like he was being forced to do things on OnlyFans. Eventually the relationship ends, and then all of this stuff with the preschool happens. So to me it really feels like it's kind of not relevant to the matter at hand here, how you got back into the OnlyFans content, when what's actually being discussed here with the preschool stuff was choices you made by yourself way after that horrible relationship ended. So it feels to me kind of like he's mentioning this past relationship as a way of like kind of subtly pushing the blame onto his ex for how things got to where they were. It just doesn't seem like it was a good opener here for something that's supposed to be about taking accountability, because it feels like he's immediately like avoiding it. Like it really does seem like he's just serving up a yappy meal and we don't even get a cool Minecraft Steve toy with it.
Now growing up how I did, it's no shock that I was really excited seeing all this money that was coming in. And so I tried really hard. I posted hundreds if not thousands of times a day in so many Reddit pages, on my OnlyFans, on my Twitter, just stuff like that. And as you know, I was working as a preschool teacher, technically pre-K, pre-kindergarten. And so I had a lot of free time at work where I would post on those apps.
Posting thousands of times per day is unhinged. Not even those rage bait Twitter accounts that drool on that platform day and night trying to engagement farm for $15 at the end of the week get that many posts per day. That is a crazy amount, especially while at work. How would you possibly, as a pre-kindergarten teacher, think that it's appropriate to just be posting all day on these platforms, and for that kind of content too? That's a fucking disgusting thought process where you'd go from like, all right kids, nap time, go to sleep. All right, perfect. Now I can make my 300th post a day about spreading my chocolate starfish on this Reddit page, and then I've got to check my OnlyFans to see if anyone's requested me to do a little sounding. Like, that is lunacy. He mentions that he had a ton of free time at work here. I can't imagine there was that much free time to make hundreds, if not thousands, of posts on these platforms. Like, when were you ever even doing your job of teaching pre-kindergarten?
I did go to the bathroom a few times and snap a nude. A lot of the reason why I did that was because I was getting paid by people, and now when I said that, people thought I was getting paid by like I don't know if you can say this word, PDF files, you know what I'm trying to say. People thought I was catering to them, and now with some of those Reddit groups I was in, I should not have been in. They were definitely like dad, son, trans girls. I got kicked out of a lot of groups for like not even fitting the criteria, and it was definitely weird. But when you're in sex work, I don't know. I was just too blinded by the money that was coming in. I know that's no excuse.
Here comes the cold water. It was pedophiles that were paying you to do those things. He keeps denying that, saying that it was, you know, just people wanting to see him do it. It had nothing to do with the location or anything like that. But here comes the truth, like a fucking boxing glove out of a wall to sock you in the jaw. That is exactly who it was, and a lot of people were no doubt paying him because it was in a preschool and shit. He took photos in the fucking preschool classroom he taught at, too. They weren't bare butt-cheek photos and nudes or anything, but he would take photos in his actual preschool classroom with his ass sticking out towards the camera. How are you going to say that you weren't selling these to pedophiles? They clearly knew you were in a child environment doing these sexual things.
So then fast forward to the day I took my first nude at work. I honestly don't remember it, but I do remember that I would get paid like say $45 to take a picture. They'd say go take it, and I would. Now I never did any of this while clocked in. I wasn't allowed to have bathroom breaks like that unless it was an emergency, of course. So when I was in the bathroom, I was upstairs, classrooms were downstairs, I was far away from everyone, in the teacher's bathroom that was locked. That's another thing people are confused about, because they see that the toilets had like little training seats on it, and there was 2 toilets in the bathroom, which was kind of weird. And I think like originally a long time ago, those were kids' bathrooms and we would use them in an emergency, but for the most part, those were for the teachers.
Like a suitcase, there is a lot to unpack here in just this small section, so let's start at chapter 1 here. He claims he never went dicko mode while on the clock at work. He said that when he took those nudes, it was when he was off the clock. Now let's flex our neurons here for a moment, activating 100% of our brain power for a little Jimmy Neutron blast. If you are off the clock, why would you not just go home and take those photos then? Why do them at that preschool? My thought process is the reason he would take the photos there at that preschool is because he knew that that's what people wanted from him. He likes to claim that they weren't pedophiles and he wasn't catering to these fucking freaks. Yet, if he was off the clock while doing this, why wouldn't he have just gone home if the location truly didn't matter? Food for thought. Now moving on to the next piece of this fucking gross puzzle. He says that the bathroom that he would take those nudes in or film the masturbating videos in was the teacher's restroom, which is far removed from the children's restroom. It's on, you know, the upper level, and it was locked, so that way kids couldn't access it. This was the teacher's only commode. Yet, he calls attention to the fact that there is a children's training toilet seat on there, as well as another toilet, like a tiny toilet for kids. And he even does mention that sometimes this still was used by kids in an emergency. He blows his wad, fucking dumps a load onto the children's toilet seat in this restroom. Even if he's telling the truth about it being not during work hours, off the clock, and it is separate from the other children's bathroom, this is still an incredibly fucked up thing to do, and it's very clearly in a restroom that does have child things in it.
I'm not excusing anything I did. There's definitely no excuse, but I do just want to say that it would have happened at that time at any job I worked at. If I was working at the movie theater, still would have happened there instead. It just so happened to be at the daycare, which makes everything so much more worse.
No excuses whatsoever, except for the excuse he's making right now. He's speaking about this like it was some kind of natural disaster, like an unavoidable calamity, like an asteroid hitting the Earth. He's talking like Thanos. This was inevitable. I was going to be stroking my shit till it shot yogurt ropes on a toilet seat for OnlyFans content. It was just a matter of when and where. Could have been a movie theater. Could have been your grandpappy's outhouse. But damn it, it happened to be this daycare that I worked at. Like, what the fuck, man? The audacity for him to try and compare what he did at that daycare to it happening to him at a movie theater, if he happened to work at a movie theater, is a crazy leap. You were a preschool teacher. People were sending their kids to you under the assumption that you were going to educate them and those kids would be safe. And in that environment, you were making explicit content. You were making sexual posts. You were making pornography in the fucking bathrooms, man. That is not even in the same ballpark as if you went into a movie theater bathroom and ejaculated on the toilet seat. It's also crazy that he's trying to say, like, it just so happened to be at that daycare. Goober, you chose that location. You made the conscious decision to film that content and take those photos at the daycare. It wasn't just some random chance where you happened to spawn in at the daycare and had to film it right then and there, or else you would have fucking died or something. You made the choice to film it there. You could have just waited until you went home and did it at your house in privacy, as opposed to doing it at your job at a daycare where children go. Like, I don't know why he's trying to make it sound like, oh, it was just completely, like, it just happened to be there. He did that on purpose.
There's no reason or excuse I shouldn't have waited till I got home. I guess I was just too focused on the money, and at that time I hadn't started my social media career, or maybe I just started it, but I was really focused on the success I was getting on OnlyFans and all the money I was earning, and I used that money to start my shopping vlogs, and that's how I got started on social media full time.
He finally mentions that he could have just went home and did it. He has no reason why he couldn't have just gone home and done it. However, I truly think that he knew what he was making and for whom he was making it for. That's what I believe. There is a reason why these fucking weirdos were requesting him to take these nudes and make this sexual content during his time at the preschool. They wanted him to be at that location for that content. And I really think that Michael Duvall knew that and was probably concerned that if he tried to fulfill those requests outside of the daycare, he would lose their business. He would stop making as much money as he was currently making from them. Now, he does say that it was 4 or 5 posts that people had pointed out, and he has taken down since and is no longer earning any money off of them. But the fact he did this at all in any capacity, even one time, is still just inexcusable.
Being successful on social media. Should I have done it? No. It was gross. It doesn't excuse anything, but at the same time, I hate when people call me names when I know it's not true, or people assume that I was doing stuff that I wasn't doing just because it was at a daycare. Where it was had nothing to do with what I was doing or what I was putting out or the people I was talking to. Those people did not know where I worked. Those people did not care where I work. I remember I did post in some of those groups before, like, I'm a teacher. I was trying to have that shock factor. I was trying to have that thing that makes me kind of different.
A broken record. He keeps harping on this point that the location didn't matter, but he immediately contradicts that by saying that he would even advertise that he's a teacher to these clients as like a shock thing to stand out. So wouldn't you think that since you have said you are a teacher and they are requesting and paying you to take these photos, that the location does matter? It's not like these people saw you were a teacher and then started paying you to take photos building a rocket ship with assless chaps on. They were asking you to take these photos at the daycare. Like, I really think it should be pretty clear that the location did matter to them. At least, that's what I think. I think that's pretty obvious. That's my opinion on it. I don't know why he's trying to deny that the location was, like, a selling point to these people when he is actively saying that he would tell them that he is a teacher.
And I know my full story, I know the truth, but that does not excuse what I did at the preschool, and that does not excuse... I also have racist tweets, which I know if I address this, people will bring that up.
Now, this is where his apology takes a crazy turn I haven't seen before. He is breaking new ground, a pioneer in the apology meta. while addressing the current subject. He then gives something else here that nobody was talking about until he brought it up. In the middle of this discussion, he then says, oh, also I have racist tweets. I have racist tweets as well. And it's like, whoa, wait, where did that come from?
Tweets from like 2014 where I said the most insane things. I said things about animals I shouldn't have said, like abusive, not sexual. And I said things about people, groups of people, black people, Asian people. I was very much unhinged and kind of wild as a kid, and I don't want to use the house I lived in as an excuse. There really is no excuse.
This tiny little section here comes in like a surprise post-credits scene. I don't know where this came from, out of nowhere. He just brings this shit in out of left field about his racist tweets in the past. And like some things he said about animals in the past. Very odd.
I was also doing a lot of drugs, and I know I said I didn't want to bring up any excuses, but that's just partially why I don't really remember everything, and so seeing it come to light, it's almost like me seeing it for the first time, because I've completely shut it out of my mind, blocked it out.
What? So now you're saying you were doing a lot of drugs at the time, so you don't even remember a lot of these things? A little confused here on the plot. Were you doing drugs while working as a pre-kindergarten teacher? Like you were showing up to work high, and because you had done so many drugs, it led you to think it was okay to make that content? Or are you saying you were doing so many drugs at the time that you did that content sober, but then the drugs blocked it out of your mind, like clouded it? I'm a little lost now on what this claim is about the drugs and not even remembering doing a lot of it.
To tell you the truth from my mouth, because I know hearing it from rumors, it can sound a lot worse than it was. I promise you no kids were ever involved. What I did in that bathroom had nothing to do about the building I was in. I know I let a lot of people down, and the people I let down the most is mothers and people with kids and people who thought they could trust me and knew who I was. I just want to say I'm truly sorry. I never meant to make anyone question the type of person I was. I never meant to hurt anyone. I never meant to make those mistakes.
Kind of nuts to me how he says that it sounds a lot worse than it was. Buddy, it was that bad. Like, even all the things that he shed some light on only served to confirm everything that had come out about it. Like, he doesn't really, you know, offer any kind of other explanation that makes it not as bad as people thought. It really is just as bad as people thought. The rest of the video, though, is spent with him saying that he's sorry to mothers and people that he let down with all of this, and he does keep mentioning that the building didn't matter, which, again, he contradicted himself earlier when he said that he advertised himself as like a teacher to these people. So I think it did matter. Like, they were requesting that. Like, I think it very much did matter. He doesn't want to admit it here, but I really do believe that he knew that it mattered. Anyway, though, the apology itself is still just not very good. It is a very interesting strategy to also throw in like the racist tweets out of nowhere that he decided to mention on his own accord. And even though he said multiple times that he's not making any excuses, he does then immediately try and make excuses throughout the apology. Overall, not the strongest apology. That's about it. See ya.